Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call to order the City Council meeting for September 16th, 2025. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk Beck, can we do a roll call, please?
Mayor Monget,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wong,
Good evening.
Councilor Barnes,
Good evening.
Councilor Friedland,
Here.
Councilor Gallegos,
Good evening.
Councilor Sampson,
Good evening.
and Councilor Tapia Vega.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, we'll begin tonight's meeting with public input. If you wish to speak during this time, please grab one of these white speaker forms that you can access through the glass doors in the back and pass it over to Clerk Beck, and we can get you on the speaker list. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. Please state your name and address before you do so. You may also call in as well. So tonight we will begin with Angela McLean.
Good evening, Mayor and all of you city council members. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm here tonight to thank you for your support on the fall prevention proclamation that will be voted on tonight. And this focuses on ways to improve safety. Falls are a significant public health concern, especially for older adults. They can lead to serious injuries and impact independence. Awareness campaigns encourage individuals to take proactive steps to reduce their risk of falling, such as engaging in regular physical activity to improve strength and balance, making home modifications to minimize hazards, participating in community programs that are focused on fall prevention. By promoting awareness and education, Falls Prevention Awareness Day aims to empower individuals and the communities to take action against falls. We say, stand up for fall prevention. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related accidents and deaths that cause older people to end up in the ER visits. Usually they're 65 or older. Many of these falls are preventable. As part of a county-wide initiative, the City of Lafayette Senior Center and Boulder County Area Agency on Aging invite residents to take part in fall prevention seminars. On September 16th, at our own Lafayette Senior Center, older Americans, older seniors, older people, Think First Prevention Falls will be presented there. The September 30th, there will be Advent pain specialists coming to explain the link between pain and the cause for accidents when people are not feeling well and they fall down. There are daily strength and balance classes at the Senior Center here in Lafayette. They are offered Tuesday through Friday at the Senior Center, 10:10 to 10:55. We have a lot of technology like smartphones, other devices, and they're monitoring tools that support fall detection, and this prevents and actually helps people to find people if they fall down. The Colorado Falls Prevention Coalition continues to raise awareness and promote practical evidence-based training so people can learn how to fall down and get up safely. There is an older adults resource fair coming up on Friday right here in Lafayette at the Bob Berger Recreation Center. Free admission, drop-ins are welcome, breakfast provided, and this is for all who are navigating the next stage of life, for yourself or for a parent or someone you care for, and you just don't know where to begin. The 2025 Older Adult Resource Fair is a great place to start. It is free, drop-in. It's an event that has over 40 local vendors and 12 expert-led presentations covering topics such as aging, caregiving, health, housing, financial planning, and more. Whether any of you are planning ahead, seeking support, or exploring your options, you'll find helpful information and very meaningful connections all under one roof. Enjoy a complimentary breakfast, connect with speakers and community organizations, and take home free vendor giveaways. Plus, you can enter to win raffle prizes just for attending. To help make this event more accessible, free shuttle service will be available for all residents of Willoughby Corner, Josephine Commons, and Affinity. So once again, let's stand together to reduce risk and fall risk in our community. And thank you once again for all of your support through the Fall Prevention Proclamation by our, drum roll, great city of Lafayette City Council. Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you so much. All right, next up we have Beth Davis.
So I am Beth Davis. I live at Silo neighborhood in Lafayette. And I'm here tonight because I, and along with many of my neighbors and other Lafayette residents, am deeply concerned about the proposed 124-room extended stay hotel right next to our residential community. This location is simply not appropriate for development of that size and type. Let me highlight just a few reasons why. First, safety. The site is just 30 feet from our children's school bus stop. An extended stay hotel with constant turnover means strangers and heavy vehicle traffic in the very place where our kids gather every morning. That is a risk we cannot ignore. Second, traffic and congestion. A hotel this size could generate over 1,000 vehicle trips daily on neighborhood streets that were never designed to handle that kind of commercial traffic. The worst part, at all times of day, while we are sleeping 200 feet away. Third, it undermines the character of our neighborhoods. Lafayette is known for its family-friendly, community-centered living. Inserting a large commercial lodging operation right next to our homes disrupts that balance. Fourth, property values and quality of life. Hotels, especially extended hotels next to homes, often lead to noise, light pollution, and increased crime and safety concerns, all of which erode the stability and value of the neighborhood we've invested in. Finally, this project is inconsistent with good planning. A 124-room hotel is not neighborhood scale. It does not serve the community that lives next door. It makes our community worse. We understand the need for growth, but we need to focus commercial building next to neighborhoods to be resident-focused. Shops, cafes, restaurants, breweries, any of the above are much better suited commercially zoned businesses that make sense within a couple hundred feet where people live. We are not against development, but we feel that it's in the wrong place. I urge the council to protect our neighborhoods and reject this proposal. Thank you for your time and your commitment to the safety and livability of Lafayette. One last thing I'd like to add is that I'm concerned about my safety. I'm concerned about increase in noise, both light pollution and traffic sounds. And I'm concerned about the quality of life living in Silo. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, next up we have Mary Farnan.
Hello, good evening, council members. My name is Mary Farnan. I live on Eagles Nest Drive in Lafayette. And I'm here to ask for your support on the Ageism Awareness Day proclamation. Understanding ageism is tough sometimes. Ageism is discrimination toward others based on their age. It includes how people think, how they feel, and how they act toward older adults and people just based on their age. So it harms the health, independence, and well-being of older adults while reinforcing inequality in healthcare, employment, housing, and media. Older adults play a vital role in families, communities, and workplaces. Just look at all the contributions that the people who go to events at the senior center make toward the community, toward the police station and the health department. And the seniors, they do a lot. Their experience and contributions deserve respect and recognition. Promoting intergenerational inclusion, age-friendly policies, and lifelong engagement strengthens our entire society. Challenging ageism is everybody's responsibility. So join us, please, for an Understanding Aging presentation at the Senior Center on October 22nd to learn how we can all work together to support positive aging. And we also ask, please, for your support and your agreement on the proclamation that's before you on Ageism Awareness Day proclamation. Thank you very much, and thank you for all you do for the city of Lafayette.
Thank you. All right, next up we have Rashid Kosari. And please correct me if I mispronounce your last name.
It's fine. It's Rashid Khosravi. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, councilors. My name is Rashid Khosravi, and I'm here to talk about safety issues in the Wanaka Landing subdivision, particularly on Sandpiper Drive, where I live on. And I'd like to hand out, if I may, a copy of the email that I sent to you all a couple of months ago, and I thought I would just read what I have in that email. So I have been living on Sandpiper Drive, and the reason I'm handing this out in particular is I'd like to point you to the map on page 1 of this handout, and I'll get to it in a minute. I have been living on Sandpiper Drive in Wanaka Landing subdivision since 2013. And as I said, I'm here to bring to your attention the very serious traffic safety issues that have existed on this street for many years. These concerns are shared by many of my neighbors, as evidenced by a petition requesting mitigation measures that we presented to the Public Works Director in 2017. And yet no action has been taken to calm the traffic on our street during these 8 years. Despite our follow-up efforts, which includes a meeting with the current Public Works Director and City Manager last year, our concerns are as follows. 1, speeding vehicle traffic through Sandpiper, which, as the map below clearly shows, is a shortcut from Highway 42 and 96 to Baseline Road. And I have marked the route, the shortcut route from Highway 42 to Sandpiper Drive to Wanaka Lake Trail and to Baseline Road with dashed red line. And you can see it is a shortcut through the subdivision. There are no speed mitigation devices on our street, not even speed limit signs. Many drivers speed past the 90-degree curve on the straightaway going east to the stop sign on Wanaka Lake Trail. They do the same in the opposite direction on the straightaway to the stop sign at Pascal Drive. This behavior, which is particularly evident during the 3 daily rush hours, poses serious danger to the safety of residents, including many children, as well as bikers, walkers, and other drivers. I have personally experienced a near-miss event around the curve going east toward my house when a minivan speeding in the opposite direction veered off her lane nearly hit me head-on. There are other accounts of similarly dangerous and aggressive driving on our street, as evidenced by a neighbor witnessing a speeding car passing a slower-moving vehicle going in the same direction. And just recently, another neighbor documented a teenager driving at high speed. We submitted that evidence to the police department, who tracked the teenager and ticketed her. And there are other instances of that. I don't have very much time left. So the other issue is traffic volume through Sandpiper, which again is a shortcut. And a study conducted by the Public Works Department in 2017 showed that an average of 1,000 vehicles passed through our street daily. That's in 2017, 1,000, that's not a typo, through a residential street. A more recent study done by the Public Works Department last year counted 1,200 vehicles through our city. 20% of that, a growth of 20%. So most of these drivers are passing through. They are not residents of our street. I have even witnessed a 16-wheeler car-carrying truck pass through our street. I'm not making this up. So proposed solution is on the 2 straightaways on Sandpiper, we need speed cushions. Speed cushions would have slowed down that minivan that nearly hit me head-on, and the student driver who was speeding at around 40 miles an hour or so. So in conclusion, I ask that you please take our traffic safety seriously. We don't want another incident like the one that happened on Baseline to cause serious bodily harm or perhaps even fatal injuries. Thank you for your attention.
Yes, of course, thank you. Next up, we have Steve Reynolds.
Hi, Council. Good evening. Thank you very much for all your service. Rashid and I are neighbors, so some of this may be redundant, but I'll try to make it as short as possible. I hope you will conclude after our presentations that we have a traffic safety issue in Lafayette. We do not have a traffic safety policy, nor do we have a program like Boulder, Louisville, and Erie, all right? Because we don't have any money, right? We have no money. So the reason I'm here tonight is we need your help. Back in 2016 in November, I presented a resident petition, as you will find in your packet, to Doug Short, the City Public Works Director, which outlines the need for installing speed mitigation devices to slow traffic. Traffic studies determined there were over 1,000 vehicle trips per day on Sandpiper with a higher than average percent of speeding. Resident emails explaining their traffic concerns are also included in your packet. This led to action. Doug bought 2 speed sensors for $15,000 and installed them on the Excel Energy's light poles. The sharp curve in the middle of the street was striped to give opposing traffic boundaries when navigating through the blind spots. This effort helped, but speed cushions were also needed, and they did not happen because the city did not have the money. We call the speed cushions our silent police, and they are very much in demand in Lafayette. Unfortunately, the city removed all the speed sensors, not only on Sandpiper and Wannock Lake Trail, but also on Baseline in 2020, because they were on Excel's light poles. We never received an answer to why the city did not add new poles where the sensors could be reinstalled. I know the city spent $15,000, not sure whatever happened to them, but they should be operational to use again. In 2020, we met and walked Sandpiper with Lafayette's traffic engineer, Joliet Woodson, who told us how she thought the street would be a good candidate for the city's pilot program to help improve traffic safety. Unfortunately, Ms. Woodson left the city before the program was enacted. Email communication with Ms. Woodson is also included in the packet. It's our understanding the current administration, through emails and conversations, does not believe we have traffic issues that need to be addressed. Obviously, this is very frustrating to see us regress in our traffic safety over the past 5 years. I've researched our neighbor cities, and they all have a formal traffic safety policy that has created a program to install speed mitigation safety policy or devices that include the following. Boulder has reduced its neighborhood speed limit to 20 miles per hour, installed cameras at heavy volume intersections. Using striping to comb traffic, created roundabouts and speed cushions and photo radar to slow and reduce speeding. Also, it uses plastic tubing to separate bike lanes. Louisville has made great strides the last 5 years. I was driving on Pine Street, Dahlia, and Via Appia yesterday, where they have improved traffic safety by using speed cushions, vertical tubing across their crosswalks, multiple striping techniques, special lane configurations, raised medians, and elephant ears. It's amazing what their traffic engineer has successfully implemented. Erie Council recently passed a new policy to create a program to improve their traffic safety. Yes, Lafayette, as well as our neighbor cities, have received funding from Boulder County's Vision Zero, initiative for the deadliest intersections only. I would think the 2 pedestrians that were hit and injured crossing baseline west of Highway 42 last year would have motivated the city from a liability standpoint to develop a much-needed traffic policy and program to help make our streets safer. Yes, money is always an issue since short supply. But the paid-off bond for the Great Outdoors Water Park that was recently paid off could have been reissued to fund these expenditures. There's all kinds of creative ways we can improve our city and make it more safe for everyone that drives here. I want to thank you for all the help that you can give us. This is an important issue, and I think the whole city will receive the benefits. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have Michael Johan.
Good evening, council members and staff. My name is Michael Johan. I live at 1600 Wanaka Lake Trail, which happens to be at the corner of Wanaka Lake Trail and Caria. From my home, I have a clear daily view of the traffic and safety issues at the pickleball courts. The courts are a great asset for our city and very popular, but the way parking is handled around them creates serious hazards. When cars, camper vans, large trucks park on both sides of the curve on Wanaka Lake Trail, drivers, including myself, coming down the hill on Wanaka Lake Trail cannot see oncoming traffic. Pedestrians, including children on foot or bikes, often cross between the parked cars. Pickleball players often step into the street with gear in hand, oblivious to the fact they're in a traffic lane. Also, after games, you'll see the players standing in the street milling, talking about their game. I have personally witnessed multiple close calls where accidents have narrowly been avoided. It is only a matter of time before someone is injured. These are not just neighborhood streets. Wanaka Lake Trail and Caria are major connector roads with heavy traffic and even out-of-town visitors drawn by the courts. Yet no traffic study was ever done when the courts were built. The current parking setup is unsafe, unsustainable, and a liability for the city. There is low-cost solutions. Prohibit parking on the inside curve by striping roughly 175 feet of curb and posting no parking signs at either ends. A contractor estimated this work could be done for under $1,000. And if the city were to do it in-house, it could be done for even less. As a secondary measure, add a speed hump on the long straightaway above the courts to slow the vehicles. This would improve sight lines, reduce risk for drivers and pedestrians, and allow emergency vehicles to navigate safely. Finally, I must express disappointment. Myself and others sent an email to all the council, which went unanswered, expressing these concerns. Residents deserve acknowledgement and dialogue from our elected officials, especially on safety concerns. I urge you to act quickly to address this issue before a preventable accident occurs. I personally am willing to work with the city to help move these solutions forward. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next up, we have Tom Pringle. Yeah, you can come to the side too. Yeah, you can come to the side.
I can also raise up.
Mayor Mangan and councilors, thank you for your time, for allowing us to speak. And I had similar concerns as the previous people from Wanaka Landing. And I live at 1648 Wanaka Lake Trail, and I've been there since 1995. So one of the original members of the neighborhood, as well as I was the HOA president for the last 21 years, except for this past year. Anyway, I just wanted to, I'm coming from a little bit different angle. I mean, I've used the trails and I've walked the streets for those 30 years on a daily basis. And about a year ago, I was diagnosed with ALS, and consequently, now I'm in a wheelchair. And I had a little different view than a lot of people. I still want to use the trails, and I do. And I also like to go down around the lake. But biggest issue is trying to cross over a Wanaka Lake Trail right there at the pickleball courts. We do have a crosswalk, and it does have ramps on it, which is nice. But on the other hand, the cars on the inside block my view, and I'm sure it blocks the views at kids on bicycles as little as 4 or 5 years old that are riding many more bicycles. And if you're taking your life in your own hands when you try to cross over there. I can only go so fast, and I can only see so far down around the corner. So really, what I'm asking for is a little bit of what Michael said, is to put a no parking on that inside the curve so that we can see what's coming at us. And I think that's a real safety concern. Again, it sounds like it's a really inexpensive way to fix it. There's a couple other things. I know we put in new wheelchair ramps at every intersection in our subdivision, which is really cool. But there are 2 crosswalks, actually it's more than that, but the 2 main crosswalks that we see are the ones on Pascal between Portside Court and Sandpiper there. There's a 2 Upper Creek and Lower Creek ditch going through there, and neither one of those have ramps. I would like to see those be put in, because otherwise you have to go half a block down and cross where there's no crosswalk, or half block up and there's no crosswalk there either. So anyway, I thank you for your time. I hope that you hear our pleas for some help on this, and we can get some answers, because I think a lot of the answers are fairly inexpensive to do and would go a long ways to helping people out. Thank you much.
Thank you. And next we have Ken Andrews.
I'll get out of the way. I'm good. Pretty good at this thing. We're good.
It doesn't go beep, beep, beep.
No, I'll make it shut up.
Okay. Okay, good evening, Mayor Mangat, councillors and staff. My name is Ken Andrews, and I live on Wanaka Lake Trail in Wanaka Landing. As you've heard tonight from my fellow speakers, speeding, crosswalk safety and overall street safety is a major concern to us. We've been raising this topic, asking for remedies for quite some time now, but we have basically been ignored or stonewalled at every turn. This has to change. Within 200 yards north and east of my house, there are 26 children aged 10 or under, with approximately half being under 5 years old. I care deeply about these kids and their safety. I've lost count of the number of times parents have raised the issue of speeding cars with me near their houses while the kids are out playing. Let me, as an example, describe the aggregate safety issues, and I emphasize aggregate because it has a cumulative safety effect. On Pascal Drive, which, as we have heard, runs from Highway 42 or 95th Street through the neighborhood to Wanaka Lake Trail. First, Pascal is a connector street. As well as access for residents, we have people coming to and from Wanaka Lake Park, the pickleball courts, schools, churches, Balfour Senior Living, where I'll be one day, King Soopers Supermarket, and more. The street is sloping and has 2 diagonal crosswalks that connect busy trails, plus the street curves, and that makes visibility difficult with several visibility issues, including parked cars on either side of the street. Residents can park outside, and one residence is right on the crosswalk, and they often park right next to, sometimes even on the crosswalk. Several residential driveways are in that same area. We have trees and fences, and throughout the day there are shadows from these trees and fences. There are several intersecting streets, and a neighbor of mine recently got T-boned by a car with a young driver coming out of one of those streets. Now, when you drive, east to west in the afternoon, you find that the sun is directly in your face, and you have the opposite in the mornings. And then on top of that, when you're driving like this way, you have the pillar in your car on the front window, it obscures it. So unless you look around, you cannot see people coming in to the crosswalk. So, on top of that, there is a school bus pick up and drop off by one of those crosswalks as well. And many of those kids that I mentioned before, that's where they congregate. And they come across the crosswalk. So that's what I mean by the aggregate or cumulative effect. Now, the street also seems to be a favorite route of wannabe racers with their loud cars. We call them boy racers in New Zealand, but I don't want to be sexist. We often hear them coming as they race up Karia, then on to Wanaka Lake Trail, up Anchor, then out to Pascal and gone. I have communicated these hazards on Pascal before, only to be dismissed by Public Works after a very short traffic volume measurement evaluated against the generic standard and basically saying that we didn't meet the minimum traffic volume. So, as one drives around Lafayette streets, you can also see many signs that residents have put out on their mailboxes. Slow down, kids at play. Slow down, this is a neighborhood, not a racetrack. People are clearly concerned about speeding. So we've heard about Louisville. So I'll ask you, have you driven through Louisville lately? If you haven't, please do. I'll take you if you need a ride. They have addressed hotspot safety areas promptly and effectively. And now they're doing major beautification work along Dillon and via Appia. Maybe the city won the lottery. Or maybe they just all wear Nikes to work and therefore they just do it. But seriously, I think they have the expertise, the leadership, and the financial acumen to allocate funds to do what is required for safety. It's not just Louisville. Take a look in Boulder, Broomfield, and Erie. There are many municipalities that are doing stuff. How about Lafayette? Today, history shows that to get remedial safety action, someone has to get hit by a car. 2 kids on a baseline a while back, and angry mums here urging action. Is this really how we want to run our street safety policy? Let's cut to the chase. We need a strategic shift and a funding change from council to address urgent safety needs. It's not just the folks speaking here tonight who feel this way. Remember the results of the 2024 Vision Zero survey. 31 of respondents feel unsafe when driving, 37% when walking, and 51% when biking. Those are big numbers, team. Those are big numbers.
And Mr. Andrews, you are out of your time, so if you could wrap it up.
I will wrap it up, yes.
Thank you.
So it's not just about motor vehicles, pedestrian safety must receive a significantly higher priority than it does today. We don't want more kids hurt or anybody hurt or even killed. So please take this into account when you consider what we've all been talking about tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Kristen Shaner.
Got the last name right, too. Thank you. Good deal. Evening, everybody here. And thank you, City Council, for the opportunity to speak and to speak for a heck of a lot of Lafayette residents. I'm Kristen Shaner. My wife Lori and I moved to Colorado. It was actually 2 years ago this month, so it's a special month for us. We love it out here. We had our eyes set on Boulder County from the start based on vacations and just coming out here. And we did our homework. We did some research, lived experience, lived in a rental in Louisville for a little bit. We were actually in Evergreen for a moment. Too much wild animal for us over there. And we decided on Lafayette. We loved it. We loved it for a lot of reasons. Small town feel, charm, diversity, old town, distinctive neighborhoods, outdoor space, recreational opportunities. I think probably all the things this room loves about Lafayette. We picked it for character, for culture, for community-centeredness. That's in short. An extended stay hotel doesn't check any of those boxes. In fact, it's actually crazy to be talking about it up here, and that's how the neighborhood feels. There's no way Lori and I would have considered living in the Silo community and in Lafayette if Echo Suites was there when we were looking around. It would have been a hard pass. It's a threat to safety, and that's the number one reason we would have said no. We're definitely not alone. Resident reactions to this proposal, and I know you guys have heard this in a variety of ways, right here in this room, through emails, through petitions. It's disbelief, it's disappointment, it's confusion, and it's outrage. And I know you've heard them. The voice of the people is clear. In fact, I looked at a petition that our neighbors did. They canvassed the neighborhood, and it was shared with the city, and it listed several reasons. I'll give you the short list. Why do we oppose it? It's misaligned with the vision we were promised. Sustainable, family-focused neighborhood where community and open space are valued and prioritized. Doesn't check that box. Increased traffic is a big risk. Safety reasons, security reasons, those have been listed many times right here in this room. Negative impacts on livability and property values. Environmental concerns for habitat. And again, that's just the short list. So I guess I'll end with a personal story because I like to share lived experience. This doesn't have a whole lot of data in it, but it's anecdotal, and I saw it happen before my very eyes. I moved to Georgia in 2012 to help open a cancer hospital there. We knew there was demand. It was in the metro Atlanta suburbs, a lot of growth in that area. There was a lot of demand for our hospital from across the nation, and our hospital grew exponentially in 2 years. So what happens then? A developer says there's an opportunity to put an extended stay hotel in this area. Patients and caregivers need a place to live, right? We're going to be part of economic impact. We're going to do these great things. Well, what happened in front of our eyes was a tragedy. And it was a tragedy, and it didn't take long. And the fallout looked like this. Transient dwellers who stayed for long periods of time, an increase in drugs, crime, and noise level, negative impacts to local residents and the businesses around them, the strain on local police or on public services like the police force. Again, this is just the short list. Quickly, many of our patients and caregivers felt unsafe, and they let us know as hospital administration, and they let people like you know, because they felt so unsafe. They felt not secure, and they had enough on them. They were fighting cancer. They didn't need stress and anxiety from this hotel. But again, I share this because these are the unintended consequences that happened in Georgia, and this could very well happen here if we let this Echo Suites go up. And we just ask for your partnership in opposition to this proposal. Thanks for your time.
Yes, thank you. All right, next up is Jill Sommers.
Hello. Thank you for having us tonight. You just heard from Kristen, who shared her experience working near an extended stay hotel in Georgia. She spoke about what can happen when those facilities bring instability into a community. Higher crime, unsafe conditions, and a neighborhood that no longer feels like home. Her perspective is incredibly valuable because it was a lived experience, and she lived the negative impacts of this. And while her story comes from several states away, I assure you that the same issues are unfolding right here in our own backyard. I want to bring that reality closer to home, because here in Colorado, we've seen these patterns repeat themselves. First, crime and police demand. In Denver, the city shut down the Regis Motel on Colfax after police documented drug dealing, stolen vehicles, illegal firearms, prostitution, and even homicide. Wheat Ridge officials reported that just 9 hotels generated over 3,000 police calls a year. They were forced to create a special licensing program simply to handle this situation. Second, inability to remove problem tenants. Once a guest stays 30 days or more, Colorado law treats them as a permanent resident. And under the state's 2024 cause-required eviction law, management cannot simply ask them to leave. Eviction requires legal process, which means if a problem develops, it lingers, placing the burden on police and neighbors. Third, decline into blight. We know from afar how hotels can run down, but here it's happened as well. Denver's Royal Palace Motel closed in 2013 after years of crime, and then sat vacant and boarded up for more than a decade before demolition finally began this year. In Wheat Ridge, the American Motel became so run down, it's now an eyesore that attracts crime and trespassing, and it's finally being torn down. These aren't isolated cases. They show how properties like this can turn into blight that drags down entire neighborhoods and lowers surrounding property values. I'm also in the Silos neighborhood. These homes are brand new. We chose that area specifically for safety and also for care, space. And yes, extended hotels can look affordable on paper, but those savings are exactly what draw high risk and unstable occupancy. What looks like a bargain for some comes at the expense of the neighborhood's safety, stability, and home values for the rest of us. The truth is, this product adds absolutely no value to the community of Lafayette. As you've heard from previous people before me who have spoken, it doesn't strengthen our neighborhoods, it does not contribute to long-term stability, and it certainly does not reflect the vision that residents have for our city. When Lafayette truly needs our developments that enhance family life, create safety and welcoming spaces, and reflects our shared values of stability, community, and growth. The proposed extended stay does not do any of those. So tonight, you've heard experiences from afar and now from near, and together they tell the same story. Extended stay hotels bring risk, instability, and decline. We should not wait until problems explode here. On behalf of myself and our neighbors, we ask that you deny this proposal. Our families, our safety, and our property values are not worth the gamble. Please stand with your residents and say no to the Echo Extended Stay Hotel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Seth White.
Council, I have some visual aids, which I guess I'll give to...
You can give it to Liv.
So I'm Seth White, 311 East Chester Street, and I'm part of a group called Preserve Lafayette. It is our goal to stop the annexation of the Wanaka properties at the southwest and northwest corners of 119th and Baseline. And as you've heard before, if this annexation is approved, we will collect signatures and bring the annexation ordinance to a vote of the people. But instead of that, but first, we're asking the city of Lafayette to reject any development application and instead join with the town of Erie and Boulder County to purchase these parcels as open space. So tonight I'd like to talk briefly about our potential coal mine subsidence issues on these parcels. I know you heard from Karen Norback about this issue a few months ago, but tonight I'd like to add a few things. First is a map from a 1975 survey called Coal Mine Subsidence and Land Use in the Boulder Weld Coalfield. This map shows the two Wanaka parcels, and it assigns those parcels a risk of subsidence between low and severe. The severe category covers about half the land area. It also shows the Lowe's parcel, which, thank you, is now open space. And it also shows that it's moderate to, or low to severe on that parcel, which is not surprising because they were all undermined by the Simpson mine at similar depths. So tonight I'm considering these parcels as having similar subsidence risk. So speaking of Lowe's, way back in 2008, state mining engineer Al Amundsen wrote a brief opinion on this site, including an aerial photo overlaid with the Simpson mine workings and the Colorado Geological Survey subsidence hazard map. And in that, he described the subsidence risk in this area as, quote, severe. Also in 2008, one Raymond Bridge, author of the Geology of Boulder County, was retained to write a technical report on the matter. He notes that such subsidence hazard maps are, quote, intended for general planning purposes, and they clearly disclaim sufficient accuracy for specific site planning. And so he had some specific warnings and advice for those intending to develop this kind of land, and following are some quotes from his report. Quote, significant subsidence problems have arisen over the years in a number of towns and cities where the mines were concentrated: Marshall, Louisville, Lafayette, and Erie. These municipalities have adopted ordinances requiring developers to evaluate subsidence hazards prior to construction. Groovy. Next, various rules of thumb have been proposed contending that below some depth, for he uses an example of 90 feet, subsidence becomes a negligible issue. However, he quotes, a number of studies of actual building cave-ins have disproved these assertions. Subsidence originating at considerable depth can still destroy structures at the surface. He also notes that the closest boreholes, which I understand are over a half a mile away, have shown relatively thin supporting sandstone layers, and that the entire area is, quote, extensively faulted. There's a long history of buildings disappearing into holes caused by subsidence in Lafayette, is another quote, over 100 between Lafayette and Louisville. So so he says there is no question that a safe structure can be built there, but it is clear that any design that does not incorporate actual data on the subsurface geology would be irresponsible. In conclusion, without test bores at a number of locations within the site, it is not possible to do an engineering design that will ensure public safety. So if and when this council and our staff are presented with an annexation request, that really should include a detailed study of subsurface geology and specific details for professionals to explain how what they're going to build here is going to work. We can't allow any hand waving that says, well, they're over 200 feet down, so no big deal, and there must be, and so, running out of time here. Let me skip ahead. So I know that our staff and our city council will review these things, okay? But to my knowledge, we don't have anyone in City Hall with the kind of qualifications to competently assess the quality of the geological studies or assess the proposed building designs against those studies. I suggest we don't just take the developer's word for it. They have teams that, for example, look at our code, but we still have planning commission staff and the city council to have a look anyway. I suggest we give this the same scrutiny. And I would mention that Mr. Amundsen noted that counties in Colorado often work with the Colorado Geological Survey on projects of this nature, but cities don't have to. That avenue is open to us, so we could potentially use that. Here's the big picture, though, last paragraph. In her speech to you a few months ago, Karen Norbeck quoted a pamphlet from the Colorado Division of Reclamation, Mining, and Safety, which doesn't mince words. Quote, when serious subsidence hazard exists in undeveloped areas, construction of permanent structures should be avoided. To set aside subsidence-prone sites for open space and other non-structural uses. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right, next up we have Adam Gianola.
Good evening, Council. I'm Adam Gianola. I live at 311 North Cherrywood Drive. I'm here tonight. I'm a member of the Sustainability and Resilience Advisory Board, and I'm here tonight to offer my support and kudos to Sustainability Director Bocon and the Sustainability Department for their work to provide additional EV chargers to our community, and in particular the financial assistance that they were able to secure to make this happen. It'll be nice to have some additional fast chargers. We only have a couple in town, so it'll be nice to have some more public-facing chargers, especially fast chargers. This ties in nicely to the energy efficiency proclamation that we will hear about tonight, as EVs are often, highly efficient, compared to regular gas cars, helping us curb local emissions in town. So thank you, Director Bocon, for your work on that. Also, I'd like to just briefly talk about the range at Lafayette annexation. I understand tonight's discussion is a formality. We don't have any actual development plan in front of us. Really just looking at some formalities pre-annexation. I still think it's worth registering my opposition on the record to the plan that's been circulating around the community. I look at this plan and that kind of doesn't make sense to me for the vision that Lafayette has for this land. The plan looks like it builds all the way out to the edges of the land with as much development as possible. I don't see any green space. I don't see any open space. It's a lot of residential development, and the plan, or the site is listed in the comprehensive plan as commercial mixed use. So I'm kind of confused by the proposal that's, the concept plan that's circulating out there. So if that's the plan that comes before the city, I'm hopeful that the council will decline to annex that land. I hope the developer will take into consideration the community's opinions and revise their plan before they put this forward for annexation, if they really want to move forward with it. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Thomas Glenn.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. I'm Thomas Glenn. I'm on 745 South Vermont Drive. Met a couple of the council members about 3 weeks ago. Brought up a problem of noise issue of aircraft flying over Lafayette. I'm kind of just doing an introductory discussion about it tonight just to get it on the agenda and on record. Basically, we have many flights that go over Lafayette, primarily from Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport in Broomfield. And I live a few blocks off of 287. They use 287 essentially as a guideway from north to south, and essentially there's hundreds of aircraft per day that can go overhead. It's ruining the quality of life for residents in Lafayette, and I know it's a subject that's being looked into further from discussions with a couple of the council members. I appreciate that. I hope that continues. I did have a discussion with the FAA about 2 hours ago because I had put in a complaint about some low-flying aircraft, and I asked the person about the suggestions that they have, because I brought it up as an issue for Lafayette as a whole, essentially. And what they suggested was talk to the airport manager, Eric Dahl, at the Rocky Mountain Airport, call him directly. The person was quick to say that Eric Dahl will say it's the FAA's problem. They tell us where to fly. The FAA person said that's not the case. So what they suggested was, figure out ways to apply pressure on the airport manager, figure out ways to call the flight schools that are at the Rocky Mountain Airport, apply pressure on them, and also get involved with some of the local community groups that are opposing the issue. I know Louisville and Superior are both very unhappy because they've had some flight changes, flight pattern changes. And what it boils down to is the airport needs to initiate flight path proposals, submit those to the FAA. The FAA will review them and then approve them if they're good. And that was the direction from this FAA person as far as an approach on how to handle it. So I sent a note to Crystal earlier today, kind of outlining a couple of those ideas. One thing I've done in the last few weeks is I downloaded a flight app. There's several of them out there, and all the flights out of Jefferson County, which is the Rocky Mountain Airport, fly north over Boulder County, affecting our communities. None of the flights go towards Rocky Flats, Arvada, Lakewood, Wheat Ridge, that way at all. It's just like, it's a blank slate. There's nothing flying over there. What I mentioned to the FAA person is it'd be nice if they had at least split the load and take some of their aircraft out of their county and fly it over their county and not all particularly over Boulder County. So that's essentially what I got. So I appreciate your time again. Please take my concerns and elevate them. I'm happy to get involved if there's groups that are gathering to help address the issue, because I want to help Lafayette as a whole. It's not just me and my house, it's the whole community has a problem with the airplane noise. There's also, we got the company of the Erie Airport and the Longmont Airport. They fly right over Lafayette frequently as well, so some kind of mitigation would be nice. It sure appears that a good chunk of Jefferson County has some kind of mitigation and agreement where they're not getting the aircraft like we are here. So thank you for your time.
Yes, of course, thank you. Okay, I am not seeing any more speaker forms in front of me. Are there any other members of the public in person that wish to speak? Thank you.
Karen Norbeck, 800 East Geneseo. Good evening. I have a couple of people to talk about tonight, but first a shout out to the Senior Advisory Board for taking the long-needed step to change the board name to Older Adults Advisory Board. Another shout out for the return of Open Space Day on September 27. This is a popular annual event we used to have back in the olden days. It's a great opportunity for open space lovers to roll up their sleeves and work together to improve our public lands. This year, you'll be planting native trees to restore habitat along social trails. Registration is required, but there isn't an easy URL for me to share. So if you're interested, contact Holly Gordon, our open space coordinator, at holly.gordon@lafayetteco.gov. Next, I'd like to follow the lead of former Councilor Stephanie Walton, who was at your last meeting and spoke about Councilor Tanya Briggs and her unexpected passing 2 years ago. I'm glad to see there is a proclamation about her on your agenda tonight. Echoing Stephanie, I too am waiting to see some action by council to honor Tanya with something more solid than words. Perhaps a sculpture in a local park or some other area that would reflect her commitment to animals and the outdoors. As I said 2 years ago, Tanya cared deeply about this community and did her very best to represent us all. Out of all the councilors I have seen over the years, she was the one who most closely shared my views about so many issues, especially when it came to animals. I didn't need to contact her to make my case on anything. She was always making the same case on her own. She took everything to heart. In fact, the phrase "wearing your heart on your sleeve" could have been written about her. Like Stephanie, she would listen closely to public comment and bring up speakers' concerns during the council comment section of the meeting. Perhaps tonight someone might take that opportunity to address taking action to memorialize her and tell us what is being done. And now on to Chief Basher. I've never had the opportunity to interact with him from the wrong side of the law, which, depending on their point of view, some in town might see as a good thing while others wish I had. But all my interactions have been positive and left me grateful that he was our police chief. When I spoke to him about a personal matter some years back, I came away with one word foremost in mind: empathy. That is a quality we want in someone who holds such an important position in town. He's always been quick to answer my emails, helping me quell rumors on social media. No, the police are not hunting down and shooting coyotes within the town limits, to giving me information about a variety of police-related topics to share. Here at council meetings, he's always been friendly and ready to talk, but I think the recollection of him that I remember for a long time is when I arrived at a meeting earlier this year and there was additional police presence in the lobby. When I mentioned it to him with a twinkle in his eye, he said, "That's because of you." Yikes. However, this was due to me encouraging people to come to talk to council about a specific topic when there might have been a need for crowd control, not that wrong side of the law thing. 43 years is a long time to work in one place. How does one honor that kind of service? I hope the city is giving you more than a hearty handshake and a gold watch. May you find many new things to do in your newly acquired spare time. But if you have a hankering to be back in this room on a Tuesday council night, there will always be a place for you in the cheap seats in the back row. Just let me know when you are coming and I'll hold a seat open for you. And I am sure the Honorable Ron Spalding would do the same. Thank you, Chief Basher, for your dedication to our city and our residents. You will be missed.
Thank you. I am not seeing any more speaker forms, so I'm assuming there are no other people in person that wish to speak. All right, I do have one caller online that I would like to call on, speak as well. So caller with the phone number ending in 474. Talking is now permitted, and you may speak when you are ready.
Hi, I'm Vicki Euland, 303 West Simpson Street, and I'd like to talk tonight about our retiring police chief, Rick Basher. I'm sad I can't be in the council chambers tonight to see Chief Basher in his regular spot for the last time, so I'll make do with paying tribute to him remotely. I've never been a fan of the police, but that changed when I met Chief Basher. I believe he truly personifies the serve in the police motto of serve and protect, and that philosophy permeates the entire Lafayette Police Department. Not only do our police officers keep our city safe, but every Lafayette officer I've encountered has been respectful and seems to have the understanding that they work for us, not the other way around. I expect this entails a delicate balance between being authoritative and compassionate, and under Chief Basher's guidance, I believe our police department routinely achieves this. Personally, I've seen many instances of how much he cares about our community. A few years ago, when there was a problematic duplex in my neighborhood, one side occupied by members of a car thief ring and the other side home to an alleged drug dealer, he worked with other law enforcement entities to raid the premises and make arrests. One could certainly argue that he was just doing his job, but what really struck me is what he personally did before and after that. He checked in multiple times with a neighbor who was helping another police entity with their investigation, including after the arrests were made. He gave the neighbor his direct phone number and made sure they were okay and kept up to date on the charges, and he had other police officers check in on them as well. He also spoke to the duplex landlords, who he knew personally, about the issues with their renters. I don't think this would have happened without his decades of involvement in the community and the relationships he's forged. The upshot is that this duplex, which had been a problem for years, is now home to people who don't terrorize our neighborhood. Also, when one of my friends reported animal cruelty to the Lafayette police and was subpoenaed to testify in the trial, I introduced them to Chief Basher and asked if there was anything he could do to protect them from retaliation. Chief Basher personally called the DA's office to see if my friend did need to testify, and when he was told that yes, they did, he showed up in the courtroom to make sure everything went okay. He didn't have to do that, or he could have sent one of his officers. But the fact that he did this personally shows me how much he cares not only about the physical well-being of the people he serves, but also their mental and emotional well-being. I hope that whoever takes over Chief Basher's job continues to embody this philosophy. He's left large boots to fill, and I'm very grateful for his 42 years of service to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I'm not seeing any more callers online, nor any speakers in person. So with that, I will close public input. I am seeing a lot of new faces in the audience tonight, and so just so you all are aware, council may address your comments during council comments, which is actually towards the end of the meeting. However, a member of city staff or a council member may reach out to you directly via email or phone call after the meeting as well. We like to do our best to follow up with each and every resident, but we won't get into those discussions until the end of the meeting. So you are more than welcome to hang out with us. We do have several items to discuss, or you can head out now or any time during the meeting whenever you feel comfortable. Thank you. All right, we do have a consent agenda to get to tonight. So those items include item A, September 2nd, 2025, City Council meeting minutes. Item B, second reading of ordinance number 14, series 2025, providing for additional appropriations during fiscal year 2025 for unanticipated 2025 revenues and expenditures required of the City of Lafayette, Colorado, specifically regarding modification of current 2025 budget line items. Item C is second reading of ordinance number 17, 2025, authorizing the sale of a portion of city-owned real property legally described as Lot 18, Vista Business Park in the City of Lafayette, consenting to subdivision of Lot 18 in connection with such sale and authorizing the city manager to take certain actions necessary to carry out such sale. Item D, resolution number 2025-51, approving the vacant to vibrant permit fee and use tax rebate program as a 2-year pilot program. Item E, resolution number 2025-52, authorizing the city manager to execute documents necessary to provide $750,000 in funding to the city of Boulder for the acquisition and rehabilitation of at least 2 homes for the Boulder County Regional Housing Compliance Program. Item F, resolution number 2025-53, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract to purchase an ambulance for the Front Range Fire Apparatus. Item G, resolution number 2025-57, approving the conveyance of real property to the Colorado Department of Transportation. Item H, items related to Sundar Apartments Development Phase 1 and 2, including resolution number 2025-55, approving the 5th Amendment to the Sundar Subdivision Filing 1 Development Agreement Phase 1, and Resolution Number 2025-56, approving the 2nd Amendment to the Sundar Subdivision Filing 2 Development Agreement Phase 2. Item I, contract with Statewide Internet Portal Authority, Microsoft 365 Enterprise Licensing Renewal. Item J, contract West Coast Systems for Indian Peaks Golf Course Makeup Air Unit. And finally, item K, contract with DS Construction Group LLC, Cherrywood Drive and Keel Court Waterline Replacements Projects. Are there any items that council would like to pull? If not, we will take a motion, please.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you, Council. Okay, that brings us to staff introductions. We have several new members or existing members taking on new positions here with the city in the community services department, and we have our Community Services Director, Melissa Heisel, here to get us started.
I am so excited about this item, Council. As you all know, the Community Services Department is newly created. This year it integrates Parks, Rec, Library, Open Space, Senior Services, and Golf into one collaborative team. All of these really forward-facing services. As part of this reorganization, some deputy-level leadership roles were created. And also a new team is under development. That's the Business Services Office, and that's going to provide service and administrative support to all of the community services divisions. And so I'm excited tonight to introduce you to this team, some of whom are familiar faces in new roles and others are brand new. So starting with Pamela Hamilton. Pamela is going to be our administrative manager in the Business Services Office. She has extensive experience in public nonprofit recreation management. She was hired originally as the library's operations manager, and over the past several months, she served as the interim recreation manager here. And so I just wanted Pamela come on up and say hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. I'm very excited about our new role and for the opportunity to do so. And I'm really excited that this is a new position that we get to offer the support to the newly formed Community Services Department and everything that several months of interviews and interviews have been leading up to support everybody in those 5 service departments. So I'm excited. It's so nice to see you all again.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome to the City of Lafayette. And I don't know if anyone on council has any welcoming comments or questions for Pamela here, Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to give a shout out to all those people who have a degree in communication. Okay, it's just the 2 of us.
Mine is a minor.
I'm done. No, I'm just kidding. I think the fact that you've worked in multiple roles over over time and seen a lot of the internal operations here. You need to, because we have a lot going on, and I really, really appreciate your being in this role to continue to make Lafayette's functioning robust. So thanks for being here, and thank you for everything you can and will do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anyone else? Yeah, well, welcome to the city. Happy to have you. Thanks.
And next is another familiar face. So Dennis Warrington was hired as our Parks and Open Space Manager, and he has done a lot with the team in his tenure here. He has experience in municipal parks management, and I'm excited to welcome him to this new role where he'll be working with golf as well.
Yep. Good evening, council. I feel like it wasn't that long ago that I was up here doing this exact same thing. But excited to take on the role in golf and learn all about that and do what I can to help make it better. And thank you for all you do, too. You're a fun council.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I don't know if there was any comments just for council or no? Okay, well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And next is Tammy Clausen. Tammy is our new Deputy Library Director. She has a lot of experience in public library leadership, team building, customer service. We're really excited to have her on our team.
And thank you. It's a great opportunity to move the library forward for all the work that Melissa has done over the years. And we're looking forward to doing some new programs and services and serve our community.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions or comments from council? No? Well, thank you so much. I'm happy to see you guys an American history degree. So that's awesome. That's
almost as good as a community.
Yeah.
And then finally, Justin Purdue. Justin can't be with us tonight. He is presenting at the National Recreation and Parks Association Conference in Florida tomorrow, so he can't be with us. He has a lot of experience in recreation. You'll get the opportunity to meet him during the Capital Improvements Tour and as we advance our recreation fee policy in the future. But we were very excited to have Justin on the team. He actually, early in his career, worked for Lafayette at the Bobber Recreation Center, so we're happy to have him back.
Just a question on Mr. Purdue. Did he happen to come from the city of North Glen?
Yes.
So, I have gotten a lot of guff from Mayor Pro Tem Hiramosa as well as Councilor Kondo that we are stealing their staff. So, just make sure that we're stealing for good ones. I don't mind the guff, but I've gotten some feedback from them that they're very excited for him, but are going to miss him over in North Glen. So
that's good to hear. Thank you.
Great stuff about him.
I think we're all excited to meet him when he arrives. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, that wraps up staff introductions. Which brings us to lots of proclamations. Just so council and the public are aware, we are pushing back our October meeting a week to the 14th due to a holiday taking place on October 7th. And so we do have proclamations for both September and October that we are recognizing today. That's why you'll see a lot of them. So we'll begin with Proclamation M. This is recognizing and honoring the service of Police Chief Rick Basher. And I'll pass it over to Mayor Pro Tem Wong to read this one.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Whereas Police Chief Rick Basher began his career at the City of Lafayette in 1983, and whereas Chief Basher, in his near 43 years of professional service to the City of Lafayette and its residents, has served as a police officer, field training officer, detective, master firearms instructor and armorer, sergeant, field training sergeant, detective sergeant, SWAT negotiator, lieutenant, administrative commander, operations commander, and chief of police. And whereas during his tenure, Chief Basher has seen the department grow from 18 sworn officers serving a population of nearly 11,000 residents to 51 sworn officers serving a population of over 30,000 residents. And whereas Chief Basher led and contributed to the advancement of the Lafayette Police Department and a professional police force that champions officer wellness and development, implementing state-of-the-art policy and procedure program, overseeing the construction of a new police and court building, and creating a supervisor development training program and officer mental health support program. And whereas Chief Basher has become a trusted figure in the community through his efforts related to community policing, engagement with businesses and residents, and the development of other community-focused programs such as the Youth Engagement Program, Co-Responder Program, and Homeless Liaison Program. And whereas, perhaps most importantly, Chief Basher exemplifies integrity, professionalism, and an unwavering commitment to public service and the city of Lafayette, choosing every day to protect and serve Lafayette residents with honor and integrity. Now, therefore, the mayor and city council of the city of Lafayette, Colorado, commend and honor Police Chief Rick Basher's service to the city of Lafayette and wish him the very best, including many sandy beaches and non-emergent phone calls in retirement. Congratulations, Chief Basher. So moved.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All right. Is there any comments or questions from council? Councilor Gallegos.
So I was born in 1983, and I think it's just incredible that you've served Lafayette as long as I've been alive. So I just wanted to say thank you for your service and dedication and keeping everyone safe.
Thank you. Councilor Barnes.
Yes, I'd like to say I was really surprised when in 2020 when I was on council for the first time, and in June of 2020 when George Floyd and Breonna Taylor were killed, it really made me question how I feel about police just in general. And with lots of conversations with Chief Basher, I got to the point of being able to defend Lafayette's police to our neighbors. And that's not something, it took me a while to get to that point because, and I had some really hard questions, the chief and I had some great conversations. I really appreciate the openness. And I hope people understand what it looks like to serve as a police officer the way Chief Basher and our officers do. And I can't thank you enough. I didn't expect what we have. I was a little shattered when I heard you're going to retire because I was like, this is not okay. But I know that what you've built over the years, decades apparently, is something that's, number one, hard to replicate and is ingrained in who we are. I feel like how officers serve in Lafayette is a part of Lafayette. It's part of what makes Lafayette great, and I hope, that I can convince people that it's not something that is fly by night. It's part of who we are, and I thank you for the incredible hard work you've done to make that happen and the consistency. And I hope you do join the back row at some of the meetings every once in a while. Thank you for your service, and thank you for being who you are.
Thank you. Other comments from council? Councilor Sampson.
Law enforcement is there to protect and to serve, but the only way that can happen is when there's trust from the community. And I've watched under your leadership what you have done to work with the youth. All the different activities that you have had the police get involved with. It's simple things that have really gotten out to reach out to community members, and at no time, kind of bouncing off of what my fellow councilor member said, at no time did I ever feel that there was that distance. There was something that you have done to build it from a strong foundational standpoint, that people really truly feel that they can trust your team. And that is tough in all the things that come in our lives. So I thank you. Thank you for all of the people from all the people of Lafayette who have been served and protected by you.
Thank you. Other comments from council? Mayor Pro Tem.
I just wanted to echo, I know I've read the proclamation, but Chief, everything that you've done, I think has been phenomenal. I know that what wasn't on that proclamation, actually, of the long list of things and accomplishments, was the Resident Police Academy, which is, I don't know if anybody else on council's gone through it. I would highly recommend members of council attend it. It's a great program. Members of the community, if you have the opportunity, you get to learn and understand what are the training that our police officers go through, the scrutiny and the stress that they go through the interview process, and really how they have become successful within our community and how they are so ingrained in our community. So thank you for your service, Chief. Appreciate it. And I wish you all the best in retirement.
I can't let my last meeting go without
Oh, you know, I was planning to invite you up, but
Start the timer if you want. Covered up. Thank you all. You know, it's been a privilege and an honor. I wasn't going to get choked up. The support from you and the community has made me successful. My deputy chief is here. I thank him. We have worked hand in hand to develop what we've got, and it truly is community policing. Thank you for making me feel old. When I started, I had all one color hair, and I had hair. But I've cherished every moment of it. It's been a ride. It's been an adventure. There's been good things and bad things. We've had COVID. Never thought we would experience something like a pandemic. We made it through. George Floyd and the other crises throughout the country that we've all endured here locally. But it hasn't been without the support of council, city leadership. I was counting the other day, kind of reflecting. I've served under 14 mayors and numerous council members over the years. Some have been more supportive than others. I would like to thank each of you for all of your support in recent years, but mostly my staff. My command staff have worked hand in hand with me. I think that we've accomplished a lot. I think that they're set up to carry on what we've established and really support our community and enforce laws like our community expects them to be and interact with our community like they expect us to act. We are a small community. I think that it really has served me well to be a resident of the community, learn who my neighbors were, and you don't go to the grocery store without running across somebody you know, or down the street at a restaurant and somebody that you've dealt with, both positive and negative. Part of our community policing is procedural justice, and that is the tenets of that are building trust with our community and communicating with our community so that they know who their police officers are. And as you probably notice, when we have police officers in the lobby, they engage with the community that's coming in here. They do that out on the street. We hire for character and we train for competency. And I think it really shows in the staff that we have. I think that, at least I believe I'm leaving the department in good hands. My goal when I became police chief was to leave the department better than I found it. I believe that that has happened. But I think the men and women of the police department are going to be able to take our vision on and serve with honor and integrity. So I thank you, each of you, for your support over the years, the community outpouring of positive comments over the last couple of weeks. Retiring is hard work. I've got more emails coming in, text messages, LinkedIn comments, Facebook. I'm glad it's kind of short-lived because I couldn't do my job as police chief having to answer all those emails, but it's great. It's very rewarding to hear that and hopefully have left a positive impression. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. And we would like to honor you as well. We really appreciate, your service. I mean, 43 years, looking at like, we've seen so many, not just new council members, mayors, but city staff has changed. At this point, I'm one of the most longest tenured person in the city, but I think that, for me, I met Chief Basher when I was young, I used to get into a little bit of trouble when I was younger, still do. But I think that we worked, countless hours through the Empowerment Center of East County, and a lot of work with the great Elena Verveer, as well as several other community leaders, specifically working towards the goal of bridging that gap and that relationship between teens and youth. I'm going to get emotional a couple times during this meeting tonight, but I think, it's deserved because I personally would not be where I am today if it wasn't for folks like you who took the time to invest in youth and create a culture or an environment where they feel empowered to be, to achieve, to be strong, to question things that they feel are unjust or unfair, but to provide them with the education and the tools they need to look at those problems, identify real solutions to them, and then go into the community and actually do something about it. And so the city took the liberty of creating this for you. We have something you could hang up on your wall here when you get home, and just to honor you as well with some words and some signatures from the city council. We, of course, are ecstatic to know that you will still be here in the city of Lafayette as a resident. And as we spoke earlier, maybe one day you'll be in our seats and we'll be standing there at the podium talking to you about city issues.
I don't think that's retirement. Time to decompress and relax and visit some beaches and just get to know my family again. Miss so many birthdays and anniversaries and all of that. I got a rock solid family that I love dearly. I want to spend time with them, so.
Yeah, most important.
I appreciate your offer, but I see a political career in my immediate future. I appreciate Karen's offer for a seat in the cheap seats, but most seats aren't that comfortable. Sorry, Karen.
Well, Chief, we're gonna go ahead and vote on that on this proclamation, and then we'd love to obviously do a photo with you with this.
Sure.
And I do have a copy of the proclamation for you as well.
Okay.
So, with that, we have a motion and a second on that. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you.
This kind of looks in the way. I don't know how Debbie does it.
Oh, wait.
Okay, so nice. Congratulations, Chief. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're hanging out with us in the meantime.
Just handing it over.
Congratulations. No, I'm gonna hang around over here. Thanks.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for that. We do have many other things to recognize tonight. So our next proclamation, and we do have 7, so it looks like each one of us is participating in this. Our next proclamation is item N for Fall Prevention Awareness Week, September 23rd through the 27th for 2025. And I will be reading this one in. Proclamation for Fall Prevention Awareness Week, September 23rd through the 27th, 2025. Whereas
Falls are not an inevitable part of aging, and education, awareness, and community engagement can dramatically reduce the risk of falls. And whereas the City of Lafayette Senior Center and the Boulder County Area Agency of Aging present classes and seminars as we stand up for fall prevention as a country worldwide initiative. And whereas falls are the leading cause of unintentional injury deaths among individuals aged 65 and older, and the most common reason for emergency room visits, and residents are encouraged to attend the Think First to Prevent Falls presentation at the Senior Center on September 16th. And whereas pain management significantly affects the social, emotional, and physical well-being of older adults, and on September 30th, Advent Health pain specialists will discuss the connection between pain dynamics and fall prevention. And whereas many falls are preventable through evidence-based approaches such as regular strength and balance exercises, the Senior Center offers daily classes every Tuesday through Friday. And whereas the Colorado Falls Prevention Coalition is working to increase awareness, promote multidisciplinary strategies, and to reduce fall risk, and educate individuals on practical skills, including how to get up safely after a fall. And whereas advancements in technology now allow for fall dedication and prevention through smartphones, wearable devices, and home monitoring tools. Now therefore, the Mayor and City Council of the City of Lafayette, Colorado do hereby declare September 23rd through the 27th, 2025 as Fall Prevention Week in Lafayette, and encourage all residents to observe this week. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on that. Any comments or questions on this? Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to thank the Senior Advisory Board for leaning into the creating a greater awareness of fall prevention, and the Senior Services Center is one of the perfect places for more questions. If you have any questions about this, it is a significant, a fall can cause a significant change as we age. And just like to say, I'm glad we're bringing this awareness up.
Thank you so much. Councilor Sampson.
I wanted to express that we do want to prevent falls, but if somebody falls, that they should feel okay to call for assistance and call for help. I just heard a story over the weekend where an older adult had fallen and felt too uncomfortable to call, and so laid on the floor for a day before the fire department showed up. So while we want to prevent it, we also want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable that you can call on family, you can call on friends, and you can call on those first responders to help in these situations.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you. The next proclamation is item O. This is on Energy Efficiency Day for October 1st, 2025. Councilor Frieden.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a good one that we do each year. I mean, when it comes to energy efficiency, right, these are simple things that people can do, at their homes, and, keep from using too much energy, and then we don't have to worry about making more, right? You could replace light bulbs that are outdated. You could upgrade appliances. Think about other improvements. These are small actions that can really strengthen our community's sustainability and resiliency efforts, but also, help your wallet. Energy Efficiency Day is a national movement that highlights the benefits of using energy wisely. This proclamation reaffirms our city's commitment to energy efficiency, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and supporting residents in adopting sustainable and resilient habits that make a lasting difference. Energy Efficiency Day, October 1st, 2025. Whereas on August 20th, 2024, the Lafayette City Council adopted the city's Climate Action Plan, which outlines strategies such as beneficial electrification and other energy efficiency measures to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And whereas smarter energy use reduces the amount of energy we need to power our lives, which helps avoid emissions that can harm our health, pollute our air, and contribute to climate change. And whereas implementing energy efficiency and other clean energy policies and programs helps boost economic opportunities and job creation while continuing to move toward a sustainable and resilient future. And whereas energy efficiency remains the quickest, cleanest, and most cost-effective solution to meeting today's and tomorrow's energy needs. And whereas reducing energy waste saves American households and businesses billions of dollars annually on utility bills. And whereas Lafayette residents play a vital role in advancing our energy goals by participating in city programs, adopting efficient technologies, and practicing smarter energy use every day. And whereas the City of Lafayette supports the ongoing work of our Sustainability Department and the Sustainability and Resilience Advisory Board in promoting energy efficiency, climate action, and community resilience. Now therefore, the Mayor and City Council of the City of Lafayette, Colorado do hereby declare October 1st, 2025 to be Energy Efficiency Day. We encourage all residents, visitors, and city staff to make energy efficiency a priority. From replacing outdated light bulbs with LEDs to upgrading appliances and equipment, small actions taken together can yield significant benefits in lowering energy use, reducing utility costs, and cutting harmful greenhouse gas emissions. So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and second. Any comments or discussion? Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to say that the combination of concern that people have for the environment, their future, really are addressed by energy efficiency. This will give us a lot more time to become a more resilient community if everyone does think about the things they can do to conserve energy, and that's the entire family. So please do take the moment to consider what is it that you could do. There's all kinds of technologies, there's also kinds of actions you can take, and this is going to take a team effort, so please consider that. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you. Anything else? All right. There is a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you. On to Proclamation P. This is Ageism Awareness Day for October 9th, 2025. Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor, and once again, shout out to the Older Adults Advisory Board for bringing that through and helping us understand that change needed to be made, and for earlier members of the board mentioning Ageism and Awareness Day on October 22nd at the Senior Center. And our proclamation on awareness reads, whereas ageism is a form of discrimination that includes stereotypes, how we think, prejudice, how we feel, and discrimination, how we act towards others based on age. And whereas ageism negatively affects the health, independence, financial security, and well-being of older adults, and contributes to systemic inequity in healthcare, employment, housing, and media representation. And whereas addressing ageism is essential to ensuring that people of all ages are treated with dignity, respect, and fairness in all aspects of life. And whereas older adults continue to contribute meaningfully to families, workplaces, volunteer efforts, local economies, and civic life, and deserve to be recognized for their experience, wisdom, and value. And whereas promoting intergenerational inclusion, age-friendly policies, and lifelong engagement benefits the entire community and creates more just, equitable, and resilient society for all. Whereas it is the responsibility of all residents, institutions, and organizations to challenge ageist attitudes and practices and promote positive aging at every stage of life. And finally, whereas ageism awareness and preventing ageism is beneficial to all, so residents are encouraged to attend the Understanding Ageism presentation at the Senior Center on October 22nd. So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any comments or discussion? Okay. If not, we'll take them. If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you. On to Proclamation Q. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month for October 2025. Councilor Sampson.
Whereas October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which aims to promote awareness, screening, and prevention of the disease. And whereas breast cancer is the most common type of cancer among women in the world and the second leading cause of cancer death among women in the United States. More than 1 in 8 women and 1 in 833 men in the U.S. will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetimes. And whereas approximately 30% of stage 0 to stage 3 breast cancers will either turn into or return to stage 4, which is when cancer spreads throughout the other parts of the body. Whereas the American Cancer Society recommends annual breast cancer screening with mammograms starting at age 40. And whereas many organizations continue to search for a cure through vital research, while physicians, public health professionals, and advocates continue to educate our community about the importance of and the innovative advancements in early detection and treatment. And now, therefore, the mayor and the city council of the city of Lafayette, Colorado, do hereby declare October 2025 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month and encourage all residents to join in the national effort towards bringing awareness of the disease during the month of October. So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or discussion on this one? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. That proclamation passes unanimously. Thank you. On to Proclamation R. This is Hispanic Heritage Month for September 15th through October 15th, 2025. Councilor Tapia Vega.
Amazing. A lot of great proclamations tonight. Love it. All right. This is Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas National Hispanic Heritage Month, known as Mes de Herencia Hispana, is celebrated nationwide from September 15th through October 15th each year. And whereas the observation started in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week and was expanded by President Ronald Reagan in 1988 to provide more time to properly recognize the significant contributions made in the United States by people of Hispanic heritage. And whereas each year, Americans observe Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th by celebrating the histories, culture, and contributions of community members whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And whereas September 15 is significant because it is the anniversary of independence for Latin American countries Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, and Mexico and Chile celebrate their independence days on September 16th and 18th, respectively. And whereas persons of Hispanic heritage amount to over 5,000 residents, totaling over 15% of the city of Lafayette population, and have played and continue to play a vital role in our economy and workforce. And whereas local Hispanic-owned businesses include restaurants, grocery stores, carnicerias, salons, caterers, building contractors, clothing stores, specialty boutique stores, auto repair stores, and community nonprofits, many of which are part of the fabric of our Old Town area and greater community. And whereas City Council adopted Resolution Number 2016-996 memorializing Lafayette's commitment to building a diverse, inclusive, and just community, ensuring equal protection and services for all residents. And whereas the City of Lafayette is committed to recognizing Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx culture and heritage as an important part of our city and its community. Now, therefore, the Mayor and City Council of the City of Lafayette, Colorado do hereby declare September 15 through October 15, 2025 as Hispanic Heritage Month and encourage residents to explore Hispanic arts, histories, food, music. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or discussion on this one? Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to point out I believe in the proclamation, we say that 15% of the population is Hispanic in Lafayette. As the current council member, representative to the Downtown Development Authority, there's even a higher percentage in the DDA area, 27%. So we are in the process of moving forward with the DDA and looking at a marketing plan, which I expect to consider that percentage as we move forward to ensure exactly what this proclamation mentions and the inclusivity of the city. So looking forward to even more celebrating our community in the DDA.
Councilor Tapia Vega.
Amazing, thank you. I know I just read it, but I feel like I have to say something because this is incredibly important to me, and I really love that the city is celebrating this with a proclamation, and I especially love that it's today, being a son of two immigrants from Mexico. Today is Mexican Independence Day, so it's very, very cool to me to be doing this. But I just love the fact that we're celebrating this for so many reasons. I mean, Lafayette would not be the city it is without Hispanic and Latino culture. It's just in our fabric. It is what we're kind of built on. What would Lafayette be with our amazing Mexican restaurants and Latino restaurants? When you're driving down Public Road without the amazing mural by Armando Silva, Lafayette would not feel the same. So it's really just part of our city, and I just love that we're doing this. So I can talk about this all night, so I'll be really, really short. I really appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Anyone else? And just for me personally, as you echoed, I thought our numbers were closer to 19% Hispanic population. Just growing up here, as someone who is not Hispanic, I got to go to schools like Sanchez Elementary and Angevine Middle School and Centaurus High School, where most of my friends and people that I interacted with were of Hispanic background. I went to my first quinceañera before I went to my first Indian wedding. And most of my friends, I still have to this day, continue to educate me and teach me on your culture and background. And I love to teach about Mexican Independence Day, and in May to talk about Cinco de Mayo and how it's not Mexican Independence Day to all my students in my classroom. And so I appreciate all the contributions of our community, Hispanic community, and encourage them to continue to get involved in the government here. I know Councilor Tapia Vega always does his best, and I know a lot of us do, to engage with the Hispanic community. I personally will continue to try to knock on doors and reach out to folks and talk to them about what's going on in the city and ask them to come to city council meetings, and whether that's for positive reasons or other reasons. Just want to encourage all folks to come to city council meetings and be a part of the process. With that, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Do we have a motion and a second?
Yes, we
Okay,
do.
great. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you. And finally, we have Proclamation S. This is honoring the life and service of Councilor Tanya Briggs. Councilor Gallegos.
Proclamation honoring the life and service of Tanya Briggs, March 2nd, 1979 through September 16, 2023. Whereas Tanya Jo Briggs was born on March 2nd, 1979 and passed away on September 16, 2023 at the age of 44. And whereas Tanya was elected to the Lafayette City Council for a 2-year term in November of 2019 and re-elected to City Council in 2021 for a 4-year term. And whereas over her 2 consecutive terms, Tanya served as the council liaison to the Human Rights Board, Lafayette Open Space Advisory Board, Historic Preservation Commission, Waste Reduction Advisory Board, and Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport Community Noise Roundtable. And whereas Tanya lived in Boulder County for most of her life and was a fixture in Lafayette for more than 14 years, alongside her husband, ran a local family plumbing business for roughly 12 years, playing a pivotal role in helping residents navigate through the 2013 flood. And whereas Tanya served her city through its first ever global pandemic, national social unrest, and a catastrophic cyber attack. And whereas Tanya left a lasting impression on our community through her selflessness, determination, and devotion to improving the lives of all living creatures. And whereas serving in public office is both an honor and deep commitment for those who serve and their families, this kind, compassionate, and dedicated member of our community made contributions that will be remembered for years to come. And whereas Tanya will always be sorely missed, but her legacy will continue to inspire us all to live from our hearts. Now therefore, the mayor and the city council of the city of Lafayette, Colorado, do hereby honor the life and service of Tanya Briggs and encourage all residents to renew their inspiration by supporting the Good Life Rescue and Mother Gaia Rescue, wearing purple, Tanya's favorite color, and dancing as if nobody is watching. So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any comments on this proclamation? Councilor Gallegos.
So I wouldn't be in this seat right now if it wasn't for Tanya. So Tanya was one of my dance mom friends. We met at the studio right across the street, and I miss her every day. And if it wasn't for Tanya just planting the seed and showing me how just a mom in the community could make a difference, I really don't think I would be here today. And I just miss her fire, I miss her spark, and I miss all of her contributions to Lafayette.
Thank you. Counselor Sampson?
I remember still getting the call and finding out about Tanya, and I remember thinking, how does somebody so vibrant all of a sudden disappear from our, I mean, she's still here in spirit, but they're not be able to go up and talk with this person. And for me, I'm a very passionate person, as you all know. And with Tanya, she was also quite passionate, and we had some definite, real ability to discuss things in a, you know, even though we'd be on different sides, there was this ability for her to stand up and say, I really believe in this, and this is important to me and important to the community, and here's why. And we were able to hear that, consider those things, and I loved the fact that she was willing to be strong enough to do that, because I think a lot of people shy away from saying, this is important to me, this is what I'm passionate about, and I would hope that as we move forward, we all carry that with us, that we think of what's important, what do we see that's of value, and we can't let that go, and speak up about it.
Thank you. Other comments from council? Okay, well then I'll just mention, the opportunity, of course, to work with Tanya on the city council for several years, and it was, we've never, to our knowledge, had a sitting city council member lose their life while serving the community. And so those of you that did not have the pleasure of meeting Tanya, as mentioned during public comment and earlier from my fellow councilors, undeniably passionate about what she cared about. Her and I, like you all get to see us on the dice, on Tuesday nights, but there's a lot that happens behind the scenes, behind doors, conversations that we have one-on-one or with city staff or members of the community. It's not, the job isn't just voting yes or no, it's connecting over real issues that real people care about. And even though her and I disagreed on things from time to time, we both knew that neither one of us was coming out of a place that was not truly and purely authentic from what we thought was best for the city of Lafayette. We always maintained respect and care for one another. I was always apologizing to her. She would apologize to me, just about conversations we would have. But at the end of the day, we always maintained a great relationship, and I think that's because I recognize, that it was never out of evil or harmful intention. If we disagreed on topics, it was always out of the best interest of the city and the people that we serve. We are going to continue to honor Tanya's legacy. Famous Bill Daniels said, you can't live forever, but you can make a legacy that will. And Tanya has continued to do that. The city will continue to recognize her in more than just a proclamation. I know we have members of the community, with the help of Councillor Barnes, creating a memorial for her, and already have done a lot of great work. So we will continue to recognize her. And if you as a member of the public do feel like the city isn't doing enough or would like to do more, please contact me directly, and I'd be happy to work with you, and I know the rest of our council will as well. Thank you all for taking the time to recognize Tanya, and please continue to keep her passion and her thoughts and her mission alive. So with that, we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Mr. Mayor, just sitting here and reflecting, a couple of thoughts that I just wanted to share, and I apologize, it's out of sequence, but as you were sitting there and you were speaking, I was thinking of Tanya, remembering the meeting that we had discussion regarding pigs, and she had a pig come into city council chambers, and how amazing it was, and watching her connect with the public and just the information she knew about animals, and it was just a wealth of knowledge. And so hearing you mention that, or what you were saying, made me think of that memory, and then also thinking of probably the last time I think I saw Tanya was, I used to run into Tanya. If any of you knew Tanya, her and her husband loved going out to dinner in Lafayette. You'd run into them all over the place at all the different restaurants. And I remember running into her at Chili's, and we sat there, we talked for a good 15 minutes while our parties were trying to get dinner going, and we were discussing a city council issue. But it was always an honor to be able to have discussion with her and look at things from different perspectives. So sorry, it's a little late to the game, but
No, that's okay.
just made me think about it. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. It's not easy to move on on the agenda. I feel like I should have put that last, but I do know that something that Councilor Briggs did truly value was the diversity of our city, and I'm glad to see that we are continuing and making great strides in that area. And so we do have to transition two of the presentations for tonight on the topic of inclusion, diversity, equity, and access in the city of Lafayette.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. That is hard to follow all those proclamations, but it does feel like a natural sequence, and I'm happy tonight to come and speak and provide an update around our inclusion, diversity, equity, and access strategic plan. Quite a bit of work has been going on regarding this, but I know this is the first council update since the contract approval, so I'm going to walk through a bit of the background to remind you all how we got to this point, summarize the work to date, and then outline some next steps for you all. So regarding the background, as I've been presenting to some other boards and staff as well, I'm kind of starting with this slide that's grounding us in a lot of the work that the city has already done regarding IDEA, well before this plan came into inception. Beginning with a resolution that was actually noted earlier in a proclamation regarding Hispanic Heritage Month, resolution number 2016-96, that acknowledges and commits the city of Lafayette to being an inclusive and welcoming community. And that same year, the City Council established the Human Rights Board, which has made a number of notable achievements, one of which is the naming of the Rosa Juarez Aquatics Complex, the Bob Berger Recreation Center. The city has also adopted a number of vision and values at the level of City Council through our comprehensive plans and even internally as our core values. So City Council adopted the strategic outcome of being a safe and welcoming community. Our comprehensive plan addresses equity and diversity within that and to support our built environment. And then internally, we've adopted core values that guide the work that staff do, which also address equity and diversity. You are all aware of the number of our strategic plans that specifically address the issue of equity and diversity in our programs and delivery to residents, namely our Arts and Cultural Resources Department strategic plan and library strategic plan both acknowledge the concepts and the importance of diversity and equity. We've also, in terms of operationally, adopted a number of practices that support the accessibility of the work that the city does generally through things such as a language access policy and translating our city council agendas into Spanish to improve the access there, as well as some programs that the city has championed, such as the Mental Health and Human Services Grant Program and our Water Bill Assistance Program to support some of our most vulnerable community members. And then finally, we've done quite a bit of work internally as well regarding our human resources and staff development. So we've undergone a classification and compensation study that helped to address some internal equity challenges, as well as promoting and building and continuing to refine a staff development and training program that can be used as a kind of springboard for some of the recommendations that will likely come out of this plan. So regarding the purpose and the scope of the plan, as you'll recall, this came to be as a recommendation from the Human Rights Board during a budget discussion. It was ultimately supported by City Council with funds to get a contractor or consultant team on board. And it's a really exciting opportunity to build off of the work of the Human Rights Board, also build off of the work that the city has already done that I just went through and really formalize our IDEA approach across the entire organization. So the purpose of this plan is to integrate the principles of IDEA within our city's operations, policies, and programming, with goals related to developing a clear understanding for staff about those principles and how we can embody them at all levels of the organization, creating a lens that we can use as staff to assess our policies and programs for IDEA, and then finally identifying our short and long-term organizational goals, strategies, and priorities, and specifically actions we can take to implement those. So moving on to the work to date, as you may recall, last year we conducted a procurement process to get a contractor consultant team on board. And following that procurement process, council approved a contract at the end of last year with a group called the Carter Development Group. They are a nationally recognized firm that specializes in assisting organizations with IDEA-related organizational assessments, strategic planning, and employee and organizational development. So they've been critical in getting a lot of this work done to date, and their work began by conducting an existing conditions analysis of a lot of the plans, policies, visions that I referenced earlier that are outlined here on the screen, but really to get as holistic of an understanding of where we are as an organization, as a government, as well as to inform some upcoming recommendations. Following the existing conditions assessment, the Carter Development Group conducted a pretty robust engagement process with both staff, boards, and commissions, and had the opportunity to engage with some city councilors as well. So that process began with a survey where we had over 170 employees complete the survey, and the intent of the survey was really to capture feedback on priorities related to IDEA, as well as people's experiences as employees or board and commission members of the City of Lafayette. So we had over 170 employees complete the survey, over 30 board and commission members complete the survey as well. And then to augment the survey, they held a number of focus groups, both in person and virtual. 4 of those focus groups were dedicated to boards and commissions. We had one that was just for the Human Rights Board, another that was just for the Senior Advisory Board, and then the other 2 were open to all boards and commission members. We held 7 focus groups for staff. 1 was for department heads, and then 3 individual city council discussions were held. And so throughout all of those focus groups and discussions, over 80 people were engaged in that process in addition to the survey. So we heard a lot from those from that engagement process, but a lot of it really boiled down to a number of key themes or kind of general findings listed here. So the first is we heard a noted acknowledgement of some of the organizational silos that exist in our city, likely in many other cities. You know, when we're in so many different businesses, it's hard, and different facilities, it can sometimes be hard to break down those silos. And that was noted in these findings, as well as opportunities to improve interdepartmental collaboration. We heard an opportunity and a commitment to, at the employee level and board and commission level, commitment to IDEA, and an opportunity to further refine that commitment for the city as a whole, in addition to all the work that we've been doing thus far. We heard an interest in expanding staff training specifically related to DEI. And then finally, we heard an acknowledgement of just the limited staff and board capacity and their scopes to advance some of the strategic initiatives at the city. So the Human Rights Board has been pretty involved in this process. We've gone to them a number of times since the first focus group back in March. So I wanted to summarize some of that work for you all, for your awareness. So again, this work with the Human Rights Board began in March of this year with their focus group, and then the Carter Development Group went back in May to hold a SWOC, or Strengths, Weaknesses, Opportunities, and Constraints analysis. And then we went back in July to kind of finalize and refine those findings from the initial discussion, as well as review some best practices of similar human rights boards across the country, and then finalize those findings, as I mentioned. And that's because part of the scope of this project was to refine the Human Rights Board scope from what it currently is, and update it once we have this plan in place and how they can kind of speak to one another and support one another. So we went back in August to have a first discussion around the board's scope once we had those findings from the SWOC analysis, and I should note those findings were included in your packet. And then I went just last night to the Human Rights Board to provide an update on this plan, as well as begin discussions about potential name changes for the board that might better align with their scope once that's all finalized. So the engagement with the Human Rights Board will continue. We'll go back in the fall. Our next kind of big lift, as you'll see, is to create this equity lens, and they'll be involved in that. And also have an opportunity to provide feedback on the plan. mentioned a survey of other boards and commissions with similar scopes across the country and want to just kind of highlight some of those findings. This is what was presented to the Human Rights Board. We looked at a variety of boards and commissions across a number of states and found that many of them were created as limited duration task forces to support the creation of plans like this. And then also found that most of them are tasked with advising city councils on policy items related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Some, not all, but many, did have specific community engagement functions called out within their scope, which is something we heard as an opportunity for our Human Rights Board as well to improve and kind of more specifically call out the community engagement function. And then I do note here that some had legal functions that just aren't generally permissible under our governance structure, meaning some of the, especially larger communities that have adopted actual human rights ordinances, they have human rights commissions that have kind of the authority to issue fines and penalties, and that's just not permissible within our structure as them being advisory boards. I will walk through the general findings of the SWOG analysis. Again, there's more detail about this in your packet for tonight. But in terms of the strengths, we heard there are a few members on the board who have been there since its inception. So their dedicated membership was noted during these processes, as well as some of the successful advocacy that the Human Rights Board has undergone thus far, such as the Rose Luaris Aquatics Complex that I mentioned earlier. And then another theme was their appreciation of the strong staff support from their staff liaison. Some of the weaknesses or challenges that the Human Rights Board noted were having, it says no clear scope. It's more explicitly that the scope is a little more challenging to implement for them, which is in a lot of instances resulting in high turnover. We get people who are interested in serving on what they view as a Human Rights Board and then get to the meetings and don't feel like it aligns with what they were expecting. And so that's resulting in some turnover there. And then a theme that came up, acknowledging that they are an advisory board and working within this advisory structure to City Council, noted that within that there's a limited authority and resources for the boards, just as, and that's noted here for Human Rights Board, but that applies to generally all of our advisory boards. Mm-hmm. In terms of opportunities for the Human Rights Board, they noted an opportunity to, once their scope is refined and this plan is complete, to potentially utilize assistance of volunteers to support some of the initiatives in the plan. Again, they noted the improved engagement and a general desire to be more action-based versus the advisory kind of strategy level of work. And finally, constraints, and for those of you who might be familiar with this type of analysis, typically that would be called threats. But either way, the idea is that it's kind of the external factors that are might be considered weaknesses, but at an external level for the board. And so they noted that because the Human Rights Board is ultimately an arm or a component of a government body, potential lack of trust from community members to engage with the Human Rights Board. And then finally noted again the advisory structure being a constraint to the work. So before I turn it over for any questions, I do just want to summarize some next steps for you all. Beginning with, we are going to continue refining and finalizing the recommendations from the Carter Development Group. And then I noted the equity lens. And so that's going to be developed next month with a number of staff and representatives from the Human Rights Board and Senior Advisory Board to undergo some sessions to develop this lens that, again, staff can use to assess policies and programs as they are developed. And that's what we'll bring to City Council for consideration of adoption. And at that same time, we'll bring forward a potential name and or scope change for the Human Rights Board with the equity lens so you can see how they might play together and work together. With that, I'll turn it over to see if there are any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that update. Questions from Councilor Sampson?
I was kind of hearing something in between the lines as you were describing, the strengths and the weaknesses and all that. Is this group considering that they might be more actionable if they were not tied to the city? Maybe they were a separate entity, almost like our Lafayette Historic Commission. All right, they're not a commission. What are they? Society, thank you.
I cannot say that I heard that as a theme from the entire board. I heard one member note that.
Okay.
But not a general theme in terms of consensus from the board itself.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. I know the Senior Advisory Board, which is now the Older Adults Advisory Board, so maybe we might want to remember that moving forward. They were very interested in and pushed our consultants to ask what exactly is the way to move in consideration of issues regarding to older adults. So, as I'm hearing, the lens will be developed with the Older Adults Advisory Board guidance, and I appreciate that effort. That's one of the questions and comments that Councillor Sampson brought up. Is it's going to be interesting to see what we could possibly do that is trustworthy and has enough clout. So, I look forward to the outcome of the next steps. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? All right, well, we appreciate that update. We look forward to future conversations throughout the process and development of the plan. Thank you.
Mayor.
All right, well, that wraps up presentations for tonight, which brings us to regular business. Item U, this is first reading of ordinance number 15, series 2025, repealing section 65-84 of the chapter 65 of the Code of Ordinances of Lafayette, Colorado regarding court costs for failing to comply with motor vehicle insurance requirements for cases resulting in dismissal or acquittal of the charge.
Good
Oh, I
evening.
didn't even see you were here. Welcome to our city
You
judge.
snuck up.
Yeah.
All right, so today I'll just go over kind of the background and the timeline and an overview of the current ordinance and then questions. So in 2007, City Council imposed this court cost. I don't think anybody here was around in 2007. I think at that time, there's probably, my guess is from my discussions in Federal Heights, which also had the same city attorney, I think at the time in 2007, was just trying to recoup city costs for administrative processing, right? So a person gets a ticket, the case gets dismissed, and we're trying to figure out how much does it cost the city to process this ticket. In 2017, the U.S. Supreme Court actually passed a case that said that it's illegal to impose fines or fees on a case that has been dismissed. And then in 2021, I was appointed, and I just started waiving the fine or the fee because people, they would submit their insurance letter, and then we'd say, hey, pay this $41, and then your case will get closed. And I'd say 50% of people just never paid the fine. And so it seemed not just or a good use of our court resources to try to go get $41 for somebody that was driving insured and just had an expired card in their car or was driving a friend's car, And then in 2024, we hired Genevieve Rotello, who's our court administrator, who has a lot of experience. And then in 2025, at her encouraging, we developed a new mission and vision statement, because the last one, I think, from us was maybe in 2007, actually, by chance. So it just seemed like the right time to officially address the issue rather than me just waiving it. And so that's kind of the timeline of where we're at. So this ordinance says, basically, if your case gets dismissed, you still have to pay this administrative fee, even if you were lawfully insured at the time. There is a defense that you won't impose the fee if you were driving due to an emergency or something like that happened, or there wasn't an accident, which is most of our cases. And so that's kind of what the ordinance says. And the thing that is most important is these are people that were actually insured at the time they were pulled over. So if you are driving uninsured and then you get insurance later, the charge doesn't get dismissed. You still have to plead guilty. The mandated fine in the state court is $500, and it can be reduced to $250 if you're currently insured now. And I follow that guidance of the state court, and I think that most municipalities through the state of Colorado follow the state guidance. So this is only people who were lawfully insured at the time that they were issued the ticket. And then the case law that I went over. So it was actually by chance a case out of Colorado. It was not a traffic case. It was a person who was found not guilty on appeal, and then still had some lingering fees on. But I think me and my colleagues interpret this to apply to these types of fees. And then our new mission and vision statement for the Lafayette Municipal Court, which is something that we spent a lot of time working on. And it's to provide an independent and accessible, and responsive forum for all court participants to be heard, or protecting the rights and liberties guaranteed by the constitutions of Colorado and the United States. The court is committed to the City of Lafayette's promise to deliver community-driven services that are reliable, equitable, proactive, and dedicated to a high quality of life. We strive to inspire positive change through accountability, transparency, and understanding. In service of our mission, we commit to individual justice in individual cases, treating all court participants with dignity and respect, providing opportunities for meaningful participation for all court participants, utilizing and implementing evidence-based best practices for courts, efficient processing of cases, and providing final and timely resolutions to court participants, independent, bold, authentic leadership, and innovation. And so Genevieve and I and our clerks believe that getting rid of this fee meets the vision of Lafayette, right? We're not here to make money. We do have court costs that we assess when people are being prosecuted, and those get assessed against people. And we feel like that's the better place to, I guess, recoup administrative costs. But to impose a $41 fee to a person who was lawfully driving with insurance and for whatever reason didn't have it with them just doesn't seem to support the law and then what this municipal court is trying to do when we're serving our community. So that's why we're asking to repeal it. Any questions?
All right, thank you so much. Questions from council or any comments to share? Councilor Barnes?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to say thank you again for looking at every piece of work that you're doing in the court for efficiencies, and I appreciate your bringing this to us. Yeah, $41. Maybe that's not a great use of time. So, and we're not here to lecture our residents like that. That makes sense to me. So I appreciate the finding.
Of course, yeah, 100% agree. You're always looking at the systems as a whole and identifying inequities and addressing them. So I really do appreciate that, and our city does as well. So thank you. If there are no more comments, we can go forward with the motion, please.
I move to approve on first reading ordinance number 18, Series 2025, repealing Section 65-84 of Chapter 65 of the Code of Ordinances of Lafayette, Colorado, regarding court costs for failing to comply with motor vehicle insurance requirements for cases resulting in dismissal or acquittal of the charge.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. On to item V. This is items related to the installation of electronic vehicle chargers at city facilities, including first reading ordinance number 19, Series 25, granting utility easements to Public Service Company of Colorado, and second, a motion to accept a grant from the Colorado Energy Office. We have our Sustainability Director here to get us started. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I have two items related to the installations of electric vehicle chargers, also known as EV, at city facilities. So we'll first start off with the ordinance regarding the utility easements for the EV infrastructure, and then we will move on to the public EV infrastructure expansion grant that the city was awarded by the Colorado Energy Office. We'll then open it up to questions and discussion, and then last but not least, motion language. So as I mentioned, we will start with ordinance number 19, Series 2025, granting utility easements to Public Service Company of Colorado. I first wanted to start off saying that it aligns with our climate action plan. I will highlight one of those actions specifically in the transportation section, where we want to prioritize and enhance sustainable mobility options. So this directly correlates with that action. Staff is requesting approval to grant utility and maintenance easements on portions of 4 properties that the city owns. Easements will provide access for installing, operating, and maintaining transformers, switchgear cabinets, and electric utility lines that Xcel needs to install in order to support all of the EV charging stations at each facilities. And the city charter requires council to approve easements on city property granted by third parties, like Xcel. So this is why you are seeing an ordinance today. The next few slides will go through each of the proposed sites. So the first is Fire Station number 1. This is right along 111th Street. So you'll see the yellow lines is the proposed easement, and the orange circle is the direct current, also known as DC fast charger. Next, we have Indian Peaks Golf Course. Similarly, the yellow lines are the proposed easements. At this location, there will be 2 level 2 chargers identified by the green circles. The Lafayette Library is next. This location will have 2 DC fast chargers. And lastly, we have the Service Center. So similar to other slides, the yellow lines are the proposed easements, and then we have a combination of both fast chargers and level 2 chargers. You may recall back in December of 2024, I came to council to get council to accept an award from the Colorado Energy Office for Colorado Fleet Zero. So that is what is going to be at this facility. I do want to highlight that this is just one half of the project. There will be several other chargers installed directly on the building, but that easement is already in place. So the next steps in the process, Xcel is going to be boring at each of these facilities to ensure electrical wiring capabilities. The bore depth will be 3 or more feet depending on the existing utility lines. That bore line will be sleeved, and then Xcel Energy will need to dig bore pits, but they will restore the area to its original condition, and this process will have minimal impact on the existing landscape. I do want to highlight that I worked very closely with each of the building operators at each of these facilities to ensure they are aware of this. They are all in favor of adding electric vehicle charging stations and some potential construction that will occur on site. Next, we will transition to the Public EV Infrastructure Expansion Grant. As I mentioned, the city was awarded from the Colorado Energy Office a Charge Ahead Colorado grant for $168,000 to support this. Similarly, there is a lot of plan alignment with this grant, and I want to call out 2 specific actions. So the first is expanding city-owned EV infrastructure, and the next is improving regional EV charging network. This charging network is really being led by Boulder County, but we want to support that with our construction. So each facility is going to be receiving a new or upgraded transformer, switchgear, electrical wiring, compliant striping, as well as accessible design. The picture on the screen is a picture of the DC fast charger that will be installed at a few of the facilities. So the grant will cover 3 facilities. That is Fire Station number 1, which is 1 DC fast chargers, 2 charging ports. The Lafayette Public Library, which is 2 DC fast chargers, 4 charging ports, and Indian Peaks Golf Course with 2 level 2 chargers with 4 charging ports. All of the chargers are capable to charge cars simultaneously. So if there are 4 cars needing a charge at the public library, all 4 vehicles can be charged. You may have noticed there was another facility in the vendor quote. This is not being funded through the grant, but we will be doing this construction at the Open Space and Golf Maintenance Facility, which will include 2 level 2 chargers and 4 charging ports. There's a picture of what those level 2 chargers will look like to support their electrification future. I also wanted to highlight our partnership with Xcel Energy. The city partnered with them through their electric vehicle supply infrastructure program, also called EVSI. to reduce the cost burden on the city for all of these installations, a new transformer, electrical wiring. So there is a very limited cost, and it depends on the distance from the transformers to the chargers. Next steps for the program. So if approved on first reading, ordinance number 19, series 2025 will be presented at second reading on the October 14th council meeting. Staff is also working on creating contracts with Win Marion. That is the state preferred vendor for EV installations that we have chosen to work with. And then all sites will be on different timelines. It truly depends on when material is able to get shipped and manufactured to us. But we are anticipating late 2025 and then throughout next year. With that, I would like to open up to questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that presentation. Turn it to council for questions. Councilor Gallegos.
Will the charging station at Fire Station 1 be open to the public or just fire vehicles?
It will be a public EV charger.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Councilor Tapia Vega.
Yeah, just one question for me. Actually, first off, thank you. This is amazing. I love this so much. Electrification is really important to build like a resilient city, and as someone who just my living situation doesn't really allow me to have like a place where I can, you know, reliably charge an electric car, something like this really helps. So it's going to help everyone. So I really appreciate this. This is amazing. One quick question from me. Can you talk more about the locations and how they were chosen? What other locations were kind of brought into and possibly looked at? I'm speaking specifically of two, one that Councilor Gallegos brought up, which is the fire station. The other one is the golf course. I feel like we all would agree the library is probably the one we would all have chosen as well. But I want to get a little more insight into why the fire station and why the golf course were chosen for the other two locations.
Yeah, so we actually casted a wider net. We were also looking at City Hall. However, the transformer and configuration here did not allow for that project that we wanted to come into fruition here. We also looked at Fire Station number 2. Unfortunately, we did not move forward with that project either. That project is different. It's not necessarily on city-owned property. So there were additional obstacles for that, but ultimately the county has an EV map where they are tracking all of the EV stations, and we were looking at locations that did not have easy access to EV chargers, and that is where the fire station was chosen, as well as Indian Peaks Golf Course. And the library has been identified as a potential resilience hub. So we wanted to make sure that they had enough charging there in case of any emergencies that occurred. We also did look at the rec center. During this time, we were on a crunch time with Xcel Energy. They were discontinuing their EVSI program and modifying it for 2025. So luckily we were grandfathered into the original program rather the program that they are currently offering municipalities right now. So it all came down and it worked out really great. So I'm really happy that it all worked out.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sampson.
Yes, thank you very much. I love this program, and thanks to the state and the Colorado Energy Office, because I think they put together a fantastic package for this. So can you remind me, the fast chargers charge at about how many hours does it take to do that? And then the level 1, I think, is several more hours. Can you tell us how long it would take to charge some of my fellow councilors' cars?
Yeah, so the DC fast chargers that we are looking to purchase are 60 kilowatts. So that equals around an hour and a half to a full charge. So we decided to, those chargers specifically, we were looking at the community amenities that surrounded each of the facilities and thought an hour and a half is a great time frame for individuals to go to the library, check out books, or go to a local restaurant, go across the street from the fire station to the play fields. So roughly around an hour and a half, but it really depends on individuals' car types and batteries.
Yep.
And then level 2s are, I don't know the exact kilowatt off the top of my head, but if anyone has charged at City Hall, Ours is about a 6.2 kilowatt. It's a level 1 charger, and these level 2s are going to have 3 times the charging current. So it'll be 3 times faster than the one we have here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Council Friedland?
Well, everybody else loves the project, so I'll just say I also love the project. But I think you probably knew that. Are we doing any like EV capable construction for future installation as part of the project?
So we looked at each of these sites to see what the future proofing would look like. The service center is a really great example of future proofing. We are installing several chargers at that facility. It is going to serve as our staff's fleet hub as more vehicles start to transition to electric, which is very exciting. We are confined to some parking limitations. So we are currently working with Excel on signage to appropriately sign those EV spaces. And the signage may vary site by site. For example, the Indian Peaks Golf Course, on some days that parking lot gets full very quickly. And our golf staff member who's no longer here, but he explained that real estate for parking is really important. So that signage might have something along the lines of all the other parking spots are taken and those EV spots are not taken. Feel free to park in that EV location. So we did look at future proofing, and I will say there are a lot more sites that the city owns that there may be more future expansion, but it would have to be a different program later down the line. For example, like the rec center has expressed interest in expanding their EV infrastructure, but that was not in this first round or this first wave of enhancing our EV infrastructure.
Got it. That's great. But like, for example, the library, all the boring that they're doing, like, we're not going to do any additional like building of electrical capacity for future charging. We'll do that when we need to do that, basically.
Correct.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah, I agree. Like, I know bringing all of the pieces together, the CEO money, the Excel money, like it's a lot to like just get it all together to make it all fiscally make a lot of sense. So well done, and thanks for doing it. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Okay, anything else? Councilor Barnes?
I'm next in line, so.
You hate the project, right?
I don't like
Not
this
a fan.
project. I love it. Is that a little too much? Let's try to dial it back. So did we pick these locations based on the transformers that had enough amperage on them, or the XL just has it available, and when we pick the sites, they just have to find the closest transformer?
So in most cases, most of these sites will be getting a new transformer that's purely dedicated to the EV infrastructure, but there will be on occasion, for example, the open space and maintenance shop will be receiving a transformer upgrade, and there is that capability of doing that. So their engineers team at Excel Energy looks at all of that holistically, but for the most part, they have, on our sites, they've requested a new transformer.
Thank you. And is the power above ground and then it comes down to the transformers? Is that how, because I see this stretch and then that's what.
It will connect from their existing electrical lines that are already underneath the ground. Stephen might know more about that than I do, but they are connecting to the main electrical lines that are already laid.
That's kind of, I was hoping they were already underground.
Yep.
That's great, because that's a lot of amperage to have floating around in the air, not floating, up above ground. So this is great. The fact that they're already underground, we're just going from a transformer underground to a site where we want it. Brilliant. Thanks. That's all I had.
Thank you. Okay, well, I think that's all from council. So we can move forward, please, with a motion. Whoever feels ready.
I move to approve on first reading ordinance number 19, series 2025, approving and authorizing utility easements to the Public Service Company of Colorado for utility lines and related facilities to serve electric vehicle charging stations on certain city-owned properties.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you. And now on to the acceptance of the grant.
I move to accept a grant from the Colorado Energy Office for Charge Ahead Colorado EV Charging Grant and authorize the Sustainability Director to accept the award on behalf of the city. Is that?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, on to item W. This is first reading of ordinance number 20, series 2025, establishing term limits and term lengths, repealing sections of the Code of Ordinances of Lafayette, Colorado relating to boards and commissions, and reenacting Article 3 of the Chapter 5 of the Code, consolidating provisions regarding boards and commissions.
Hello, good evening again. I'm here with first reading of ordinance number 20, series 2025, regarding some board, commission, and committee updates that we've been discussing throughout this year. We held conversations most recently as August, so I'll begin with just a very brief background and then walk through the components of the ordinance before your consideration this evening, and then turn it over with proposed motion language. So as a reminder, in the last about 18 months, staff and city council have been working to develop some improvements to our board and commission program. Began with some changes and updates to the board's scopes and name updates specifically to develop consistency across our boards and commissions. Then we looked at aligning all the terms to end and start on the same day each year of their respective years, and at the same time transition to a semi-annual recruitment process, which I should make a plug is currently open. Applications close on Friday, the 19th. And then now we're looking, and council's been discussing imposing term lengths, consistent term lengths and term limits on our boards and commissions. And most recently, at your 2 August meetings, we held discussions to get direction on those 2 items and heard support from council to implement generally consistent 3-year terms for all boards and commissions except for the Planning Commission, which has 4-year terms per our charter, as well as exempting the Youth Advisory Board, and then implementing a term limit of 3 consecutive terms retroactively, but allowing 1 grace term for anyone who's in their final term. So the ordinance before you is really intended to reflect all of that direction from council, but I will walk through the components. Beginning with the creation, what this ordinance did and presented the opportunity to create what we're calling a general provisions section, which outlines all of the same kind of consistent requirements or expectations for all of our boards and commissions into one section versus having them scattered throughout the code with the individual code sections that establish our boards and commissions. Then we also heard direction from council to make some minor structural updates, such as removing alternates. And so we're reflecting those changes in this ordinance as well, and I'll walk through that. And then with this holistic review, it did offer the opportunity to adjust and reflect some minor cleanup items, so I'll walk through those. Beginning with the general provisions section, this is a new section of the code, and it reinforces and notes a lot of what's already in the code, such as the advisory structure of our boards and commissions and that they advise city council. It, of course, establishes your authority as city council to appoint members to these boards and commissions. It outlines the general expectations for our boards and commissions, and that's not related to their scopes necessarily, but more about establishing and adopting rules of order, following Robert's rules, things like that. It also outlines our quorum requirements, establishing a simple majority of the seated voting members. And then what's new is the implementation of term length. So again, this does impose the consistent 3-year term length for all boards and commissions except for Planning Commission and the Youth Advisory Board, as well as the term limits 3 consecutive terms, allowing for 1 grace term for anyone who's in what would be considered their final term. On to the structural updates. So again, council did provide direction to move forward with removing alternates and then made some minor adjustments to the number of board members at the same time. So with beginning with the Historic Preservation Commission, this ordinance would remove their alternates but maintain the 7 regular members that are currently allowed for that board. It would also remove the alternate members from the Open Space Advisory Board but increase their membership of regular members from 5 to 7. It would remove the alternates from the Senior Advisory Board but maintain their 7 regular members. And then it would remove the alternates from the Sustainability and Resilience Advisory Board, but maintain their 9 members. And 2 of these 3 boards that are allowed to have alternates currently have seated and appointed alternates, so this ordinance also includes language in one of the provisions that effectively acknowledges those appointments through the end of their term, until they either resign, their term ends, or they might choose to apply to a regular seat on one of the boards as they open up. I mentioned the opportunity to address some other minor items through this. And so what is also reflected in this ordinance is a slight tweak to the way the Cultural Arts Board and Public Art Committee were structured in the ordinance. There was council direction, I believe, in 2023 to make some changes to that structure of those 2 boards, and the way it's written here just kind of further refines the structure of the 2 bodies. It also allows the quasi-judicial commissions, such as the Planning Commission and Historic Preservation Commission, to hold special meetings outside of what would be considered their regular cadence, really for items that might be on tighter deadlines related to review matters. As we've heard in a number of council meetings and came up again tonight, this ordinance would also reflect the name change from the Senior Advisory Board to the Older Adults Advisory Board. And then finally, there was kind of an outdated requirement within the library board scope that required them to review candidates for the library director position. So this ordinance reflects the removal of that. So I will pause there before motion language to see if there are any questions, and note that this was a joint effort with our deputy city attorney, so I might need to pull her in for some, but happy to see what questions you might have.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Questions from council or Council Sampson?
So this is a question for more than staff. It's also for council. I noticed there's 2 things, or at least there's one commission and one board that have identified that part of the membership is an ex officio member, including a city council member. That's Historic Preservation Commission. And I was thinking, one, because it's a commission, we shouldn't really have a city council member as that ex officio member. All the other boards and commissions, it's not necessarily seen in there. And I think it's in the council bylaws that we are to be a liaison, right? So it seems odd to have this in Historic Preservation Commission when someone could, and correct me if I'm wrong, they could say, well, I didn't like what Historic Preservation Commission said, I'm going to take it to council.
So it's not necessarily a legal problem because the Historic Preservation Commission isn't entirely quasi-judicial. They have a limited quasi-judicial role to put temporary stays on demolition projects.
Yes.
But beyond that, they're an advisory board for council. So I really appreciate you raising that because that's something that they grapple with and that as we're, they're looking at some ordinance changes right now too. So these exact changes are coming up, or these types of issues are coming up. But I think in terms of whether council has a liaison on that board, it doesn't present a legal issue, and that council member could even participate in the discussion on, say, an application to landmark city property, and still participate in the discussion here on council as well, without presenting any issues. But again, because they have a quasi-judicial role, it's a limited quasi-judicial role, it's worth us looking at that, but I'm not concerned about it presenting an issue. Thank you for asking.
The other one that specifically states that a council member would be an ex officio non-voting is the Open Space Advisory Board. Again, that one wouldn't be, and it also says, and the city administrator. So I would recommend in both of those that we would, how many have you gone to? Okay, just wondering.
Or designee. I'm on Thursday.
It doesn't even say that. I wish it, but that's what I thought was interesting, because there are some that say city administrator designee. This says you're going, Katie. So what I would suggest is that we remove the ex officio on those 2 for council, and on open space, remove the city administrator, both because they align better with all the other boards and commissions based on what that is.
Okay.
I don't know.
And that would come back to us then separately then?
Well,
You can amend on first reading.
Or
That
could
direct
we-
staff, we can bring it back on second reading.
Okay.
As amended, yeah.
Okay.
You know me, I can.
Do we have any issues with that? Questions?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for looking into that, Counselor. Great. Any other questions? Okay, we'll take a motion. Counselor Sampson, would you like to?
Sure.
Okay.
Since you know I can just write these on the fly. Thank goodness I used to be a journalist. Okay, motion. I move to approve on first reading ordinance number 20, Series 2025, establishing term limits and term lengths, repealing sections of the Code of Ordinances of Lafayette, Colorado relating to boards and commissions, and reenacting Article 3 of Chapter 5 of the Code consolidating provisions regarding boards and commissions, including removal, striking, do you care which word?
I think
Removing-
amending the ordinance for second reading to remove the ex officio city council member from the Historic Preservation Commission and the Open Space Advisory Board, as well as the city administrator as an ex officio member of the Open Space Advisory Board.
So moved.
Teamwork.
Thank you, Councilor McSalka. Okay, there is a motion there. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All right. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you so much. All right. All right. That brings us to our final item on our regular business tonight. Item X. We're getting through the whole alphabet tonight. We have resolution number 2025-54. Finding the annexation petition for a 3.47 acre property located at the southwest corner of Highway 287 and Arapahoe Road to be in substantial compliance with the state statutes, and setting a public hearing on the petition in accordance with the Municipal Annexation Act of 1965.
Thank you. Stephen Williams, Planning and Building Director. As stated, this annexation substantial compliance relates to the range at Lafayette. It is the second of two annexation requests for this corner property. And it's also previously referred to as the Kensington development, just for clarification. So tonight's public meeting agenda contains a staff presentation, opportunity for questions and discussion, as well as a motion or request for a motion. The applicant is in attendance tonight but does not have a presentation of their own. So if you have questions for them, they are also available. The substantial compliance overview here just kind of clarifies the two actions that we're requesting tonight. One is that we're finding that the annexation petition substantially meets Colorado Revised Statute 31-12-1071, and then also establishes the eligibility hearing date. What we're not doing tonight is actually a final action on the annexation request, and we're not really speaking to the feasibility or the desirability of the annexation. We're just reviewing it for its completeness. So Lafayette, the range at Lafayette, number 2, is in the immediate southwest corner of Arapahoe and 287, reflected in red. The range at Lafayette, number 1, which you considered earlier this year, through the first two steps of the annexation process, is reflected there in gray. Property immediately contiguous to Lafayette currently is the silo development that's to the west here, and then West Ridge development to the immediate south. So the one kind of unique thing about this application is we'll be taking it as a series annexation. So the range at Lafayette will act on that first, and then we'll act on the second annexation in order to ensure we meet contiguous requirements or contiguity requirements. And then the last piece here is that the sequencing of this is coming later because until recently, that section in red was part of the town of Erie. It has recently been disconnected and transferred to the current property owner. That's T-Bone Partnership. So the annexation process is a little bit more straightforward than the overall review process, and that's what's reflected here. Staff received an annexation petition on August 21st. We are here tonight to make a finding of substantial compliance. If that is made, staff will prepare an annexation impact report and then notice the eligibility hearing for 4 consecutive weeks and bring back that eligibility hearing request to you at the end of October. And then we go to Planning Commission for public hearings as well as City Council to actually enact and make a final decision on an annexation proposal. The applicant has also clarified already, and we clarified this through the initial application as well, that they're required to pursue their zoning, but they also intend to pursue a plan unit development and a plat, as well as site plan architectural review applications for their vertical development. So this illustration is just kind of to help clarify how those different applications align, and also to illustrate that there's a number of public meetings and public engagement opportunities and opportunities for public comment and a long kind of road ahead of us before we get to that final action on the annexation. And this is just kind of a more simplified version, but also kind of clarifies the timeframes that are associated and the city council meeting dates. But again, we're just asking for the initial step, and again, a non-binding decision tonight. So the petition requirements are all outlined here. They include a handful of allegations that the application or the applicant must make. They are included here. They include that the property is desirable and necessary to be annexed into Lafayette. They also include requirements that they meet sections 31, 12, 104, and 105. That is contiguity and also a finding that it's a community interest. And then we have a number of other requirements, including that the petition is filed by more than 50% of the property owners involved. And in this case, it's 100% of the property owners. There's just one. And then so in addition, it's just actually that they're requesting to be annexed. And then, the next 5 are outlined here. They're fairly basic. We have to see that the mailing address has been included, that the legal description has been included, that the date for each signature has also been included along with an affidavit, and then that the application also includes an annexation map, and all of those things have been included in this application and found by staff to substantially meet the state requirements. So as I already related, that petition was filed on the 21st. The property owners meet the requirement of more than 50%. The petition contains all of the allegations. We're not voting on those allegations or making a determination on those allegations tonight. We're just seeing that they've all been made. And then that annexation map also complies with state statutes. And lastly, sorry, I didn't click through all of them. I meant to remove that before getting here tonight, so apologies for that. But petition's also dated within 180 days of the filing. So those are the findings that have to be made. And then the other clarification, and this is the same from the first application, is that the petition did include a right for them to withdraw. They have to include that upfront in order to have that opportunity later on. So it's similar to our non-binding kind of position in the city. If we go through this whole process and their requests for entitlements aren't, they don't agree to them, then they don't really have to follow through with the action either. So now is the opportunity for any questions or discussion for council.
Great, well, thank you so much. We'll take questions from council or comments if there are any. Okay. I would just like to reiterate, as we do, for the benefit of the public, that tonight's discussion and vote is not whether or not the city will be annexing this particular piece of land or not. It is simply to discuss the eligibility for it to potentially be annexed within the city, as we look at the requirements to see if they meet the standards for the state of Colorado under the Municipal Annexation Act of 1965. As presented earlier today, we did see, these are smaller things, like signatures and meeting deadlines and things of that nature. We are not discussing any development. We are not voting on any of that. It is simply the eligibility of annexation. Just wanted to clarify. Next slide, please.
So, yeah, just as a next steps, if you approve this tonight, we'll come back on October 28th for the eligibility hearing, excuse me. And the eligibility, following the eligibility hearing, the applicant also may proceed with the city zoning and the rest of those development requirements, or application opportunities, I guess I should say. So here's the motion for tonight.
Okay. Unless there are any other questions or comments, we'll take a motion, please.
I'll do it. I move to approve resolution number 2025-54, finding the annexation petition for a 3.47 acre property located at the southwest corner of Highway 287 and Arapahoe Road to be in substantial compliance with state statutes and setting in a public hearing on the petition in accordance with the Municipal Annexation Act of 1965.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. And thank you for hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate your
Yeah.
patience.
It's not fun.
Yeah, thank you.
It's fun.
No, it's not. All right. Well, then we can wrap up tonight's meeting with staff reports. That includes, beginning with the city attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a brief update for council on an item tonight. Some of you were on council a few years ago when Lafayette signed on to the state's opioid settlement memorandum of understanding. So that was back in 2021. And under that agreement, we agreed, along with 311 other Colorado local governments and the state of Colorado, to basically maximize the proceeds from all of these opioid litigation settlements that were expected to come over the next, then 18 years, basically through 2040. And so we signed off on that in 2021, and we also joined a regional council with Boulder County, which will receive pooled settlement proceeds from the various settlements that will then be used throughout the county for opioid abatement measures. There's various approved purposes, and the county has been receiving funds over the last several years pursuant to that intergovernmental agreement. So my update for you this evening is that the state of Colorado has recently reached 2 new settlements. The first one is a historic settlement with Purdue Pharma, and it's historic in the sense that it is one of the largest settlements ever reached in opioid litigation of $7.4 billion at the national level.
Wow.
And Colorado is expected to receive approximately $132 million of that, which will then be distributed to local governments through those regional councils. The second new settlement that was recently reached is with 8 secondary manufacturers. And that is expected to end up with about $12 million coming to Colorado among those new settlement proceeds. So to maximize that funding and to ensure we get every possible dollar we can under those settlement proceeds, the city does have to sign participation forms that effectively release any claims that we could individually bring against these manufacturers, and those forms have gone to the city manager, and she has signed those this week. So we wanted, actually it was last Friday to be more accurate. But, and that is an ongoing obligation as those come in, the city manager signs those, and that ensures that we continue to participate in those proceeds. But we haven't had a new settlement in a while, and so I wanted to let you know that these 2 major settlements came in, and that effort towards opioid abatement using those funds continues in the county. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Good evening. Thank you for a few updates tonight. So first is we are very excited, and our public works staff and water team is very excited. That upper right picture is the filling of the 3rd reservoir of Goose Haven after 14 years of construction. We are finally able to begin filling that area. That will provide some needed storage space. So while it's not new water, it definitely allows us, because we have very senior water rights, to be able to in what years capture and store water to also be then offset for when we have dry years. And so we were out there last Friday, actually, as they turned on the crank. I'm sure there's a very technical term for it, but the water started filling up the spigot, and anticipate that it should be filling up. The water rights sort of in towards October, but we're going to try to get it as full as we can and be able to store it for come next spring. Also, we have 2 remaining cells that are expected to be completed and ready to begin filling in 2026, so we'll provide more updates as those happen.
Nice.
Also want to thank the over 400 participants that joined our World Migratory Bird Festival this past Sunday. It's a really beloved and super well-attended event, so really appreciate staff's work on that and the community coming out to celebrate that. We have our annual Older Adults, and now supported by the Older Adult Board, Resource Fair. This is Friday, September 19th from 9 to noon at the Bob Burger Recreation Center. It is free admission, and you are welcome to just walk in, but we do encourage registration so we can pre-plan because breakfast will be provided. So registration opens up August 5th for residents and August 12th for non-residents. And then finally, we want to invite you in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce to the Wanaka Lake mural dedication. I'm sure many of you have walked by it. It's that top left picture. It is the Wanaka Lake Treasures mural. The event is at the Pump House on the south side of the lake, Wednesday, September 24th from 4 to 6. This mural really brings to life both the above and underwater ecosystem at the Wanaka Lake and celebrates over 30 local species and offers education value to the young and older community members. Coming up, I do want to note that the September workshop, because it is typically on the 4th Tuesday, is moved to the 5th Tuesday because of our observance calendar. So please note that. It should be in your calendar invites, but also for the public. This will be our annual CIP tour, and we'll be posting here shortly opportunities for the public to register to attend as well. And then, as the mayor noted a little bit earlier as well, because of other holidays occurring in early October, we are doing our first regular meeting on the 2nd Tuesday of the month, so October 14th. This will be pretty much all budget all night. So we'll be beginning with your Downtown Development Authority 2026 budget. It does look a little bit different for those that are familiar with LURA, where you all do not formally approve the LURA budget. You do for the DDA. So we'll be doing a presentation and then bring back a resolution at a later date. Also highlighting some of the work that's been done on our Parks, Recreation, and Golf fee philosophy. And then our annual budget hearing, public hearings for the resolution and ordinances.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'll note real quick, we're going to be doing a very exciting staff celebration, but because it is Chief Basher's last meeting, I'd be remiss to also thank him, and I really appreciate the ceremony that you guys provided to him tonight. So thank you, Chief.
Thank you. All right. Well, that brings us to council reports. To wrap up this evening, beginning with Councilor Gallegos.
Nothing from me tonight.
Okay, thank you. On to Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. Just like to note as was mentioned in our manager's report, that there will be a DDA report on all of what we've been doing. And just to give you an idea, we have a fantastic new logo, and we are looking at the parking in Old Town. We did have an interesting proposal about an event like our night out, but that goes through the winter. So we're looking at that brand new idea coming forward. So the DDA is active, and I'm super excited for you to see the marketing plan that's coming up in the presentation post haste. I would like to read, I don't want to take a whole bunch of time, I would like to read a letter that is regarding, I mentioned the endangerment finding from the EPA, a letter that local officials, and I'd like to invite my colleagues to sign on this letter as well. CC4CA is still trying to make sure everybody who wants to sign can sign. And I'm just going to read the letter to you so you have an idea of what this is all about. On behalf of the constituencies represented by the undersigned Colorado state and local elected officials, we urge the Environmental Protection Agency to continue its 16-year history of implementing the endangerment finding. This finding is a foundational underpinning to the regulatory framework that guides how the EPA protects our residents and businesses from the impacts of climate change. Here in Colorado, science-based policy is especially important to how we grow our resilient, clean energy economy, continue to enjoy the landscapes our communities know and love, and ensure our residents have a healthy, safe, and prosperous life. As you know, Colorado is a national leader in demonstrating how our economy and environment can thrive, all while providing a strong combination of incentives and regulations to ensure industries minimize their pollution and the most cost-effective solutions are prioritized. And this approach is working. Our electric utility rates are below the national average. Coloradoans enjoy the fifth most affordable household energy expenditures in the country, and for nearly 15 years, Colorado has been among the top states for growth in personal income, employment, and overall economic growth. We have accomplished all of this while leading on climate action, and we are proud that Colorado is projected to be the first state to reduce its emissions in half. Yet, at the same time, Coloradoans know firsthand the direct impacts of climate change on their health and their communities. In a recent survey, nearly 2 million Coloradoans said climate change has directly affected their health. This month alone, we have 9 wildfires burning that have already consumed over 200,000 acres of land. Our communities are experiencing the impacts of extreme heat, and 2025 is projected to be the hottest year on record once again. We've also experienced destructive flooding, severe hailstorms, and extended droughts, which impacts our livelihoods, working lands, and environment. More directly to this proposal, Coloradans, regardless of their political affiliation, believe in sound science to guide decision-making. The endangerment finding was based on widely accepted science on climate change and has empowered the EPA to do its job to protect our communities through regulations on industrial pollution, power plants, and vehicle emissions. Repealing this finding will ensure that the harms our society are already experiencing from climate change will only grow more frequent, more severe, and more deadly. As elected officials that hail from every part of the state, we make choices every day that prioritize the health, safety, and welfare of our residents. We urge you to protect the endangerment finding that is so vital to achieve all of these goals for our communities, our state, and our country. And there's an opportunity to sign on. I've already signed on to it, but I just wanted to let all of you know that's an opportunity. And I can send the link to the letter to our city manager and then send that out if you're interested.
Yes, please do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Friedland.
Nothing to report tonight.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Wong.
Yes, just a couple of items. First, just want to throw out there, and I'll send this out to my fellow councilors, that Commuting Solutions is putting together their 2026 sponsorship opportunities. And I know before we've gone to the legislative breakfast and the Sustainable Transportation Summit. So what I'd like to do is send everybody the current package and see if there's an interest among council to sponsor individually or maybe as an annual membership. So I'll be sending that out to all of you here on council. Just wanted you to be aware of that.
And that's what Councilor Walton and former Councilor Walton did mention at our previous meeting for sponsorship. So there are several options we can pick and choose from. But just to see what we want to get council's gauge of interest first before committing to which package we want to support.
And then just a couple of comments in regards to public comment regarding traffic. I think that especially the last 6 to 9 months, it's been a very consistent item that comes up that are different areas throughout our community. And I would just like to see if potentially at some point we work and define a clear process that we communicate to the community current priorities and where those are at. Maybe it's more of a focus on the multimodal transportation plan in addition to any traffic studies, just something out there that makes it easier for our residents to find, and then also share any traffic studies we may have, and just potentially next steps to kind of focus on how we handle it as a community. Just as a quick note, I did just learn about that connector from Highway 42 over to the Wanaka Lake area. Again, had no idea what that light was, finally went down it understood where they're talking about. So I do see that there's a lot of traffic, and I know wherever water can go, traffic is very similar and it will go. So I'd just like to kind of put that out there for fellow counselors to think about of potential things that we could look at in the future. So I just want to put that out and address it. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, thank you. Counselor Sampson?
So supporting that, on the Wanaka Lake Trail that is by the Wanaka Lake Park area, I will say that I did hear you. I heard those before. I have driven that. I went out there and walked it because on the trail, you walk across the street and the trail continues on the other side of the street. I've also even done biking across it. It is a problem because of the parking on both sides of the street. So I would support any sort of low-cost way to improve visibility in that area for all pedestrians and drivers, because you have to, you really have to lessen your speed down to like 7 miles per hour in order to make sure you're not running into little ones or big ones like me. So I also want to thank Thomas Glenn, who came tonight. Many times in government, we hear people talk about all the things that are, that they want the city to fix for them. It is rare for somebody to reach out and call the FAA. And so that is I just want to do shout out, kudos. Thank you very much for, saying this is so important to me, I'm going to take it to the next step. And so way to go. And I very much appreciated the information provided. That was valuable information. Historic Preservation Commission is currently working on their historic preservation review process, which is in the code. You've heard me talk about this before. They're still working on this. They predict that they'll be back to City Council in the first quarter of 2026 with some ideas and suggestions on how to amend the code to better fit their process that they'd like to see moving forward. And then the Regional Homeless Task Force, I go out of town and I'm telling you, they went from quarterly to now monthly meetings. So we're going to be in monthly meetings through December. And where they're going with this Boulder County Regional Homeless Task Force is to work on getting word out to the community about ADUs, accessory dwelling units. How do you build those in your own home? Helping answer questions on that. So they're making a request that individually, either individual cities or cities combining together, do fairs or some sort of outreach. So you will hear more maybe in the next couple months on that.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, Councilor Tapia Vega.
Thank you. Tomorrow night is Ampere Grant over at the Collective. So this is from Cultural Arts Board. It should be a fun night. We should have a lot of things going on, music, food. And it's an opportunity to kind of mingle with artists, educators, organizations, local funders, and really to learn more and discover funding opportunities for artists and for educators and for arts and communities, which is something that we all love here in Lafayette. And then just to reiterate a few things from the earlier proclamations, happy Hispanic Heritage Month to everyone, and Chief Basher, thank you so much for all your service, and we'll miss you.
Okay, and for me, just regarding airports, or airport noise, we do have some good news coming from Congressman Negus's office through advocacy from a lot of members of the public. Here in the city of Lafayette, Congressman Negus is planning to introduce a bill to Congress soon here that would allow local airports to enact restrictions on lots of things related to noise. For example, when aircrafts, like the timing of when aircrafts can fly in and out, the number of aircrafts that can fly in and out, including the type of aircrafts that are flying in and out, and just putting curfews and other restrictions on that without those airports fearing a loss of federal grant funding from the FAA. So, there may be some hesitation from some of these local airports, smaller airports, to comply or to not ruffle any feathers in fear of losing that grant funding. And so the bill he's introducing, I don't have a timeline on it. I know it'll be released it will be proposed soon. Will clarify that the FAA can't withhold any funds for airports when it comes to regulating noise or attempting to regulate that noise. So that's something, I think we should all be paying attention to on the federal level and coming out and publicly supporting if you'd like. So that's some good news from the federal level. And then looks like for me, we talked about the community solution, so that was great. So just be on the lookout from that email from Mayor Pro Tem Wong. Other than that, we do not have an executive session tonight. So with that, we will adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you all for being here and see you all next time, except for you.
Except for you.